Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Meeting for July 22nd, 2025. The first thing is to call to the order of this meeting, and please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Radafrada.
Here.
Alder Dancer Jr.
Here.
Alder Gerhardt.
Here.
Alder Herbst.
Here.
Alder Jetzer.
Here.
Alder Lattice.
Here.
Alder Maldonado, absent with excuse. Alder Ragsted.
Here.
Alder Vafadari.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. So next, we move to item 4, public appearances for non-agenda items. The first thing, we have a mayoral proclamation designating July as a park and recreation month. And we have a proclamation, so we are going to start with the proclamation.
So designating July as Park and Recreational Month, whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of the communities throughout this country, including Fitchburg, and
whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the physical health of all residents, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region, and
whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic diseases, provide therapeutic recreation services for those with disabilities, and improve the mental and emotional health of all residents, and
whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife, and
whereas the City of Fitchburg is home to approximately 818 acres of parkland, open spaces, and recreation trails across at least 95 distinct areas, including parks, athletic fields and courts, natural areas, greenways, stormwater facilities, neighborhood trails, a golf course, a cemetery, and a community center. And
whereas additional open space and recreational opportunities are provided through regional assets such as the County E-Way System, the University of Wisconsin Arboretum, Department of Natural Resources lands, and federally managed lands within Fitchburg, offering residents and visitors abundant access to both active and passive outdoor recreation. And
whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors, and
whereas access to a park or green space within a 10-minute walk from home is a nationally recognized standard for healthy, equitable communities, and the City of Fitchburg is committed to expanding and maintaining park access so that all residents can enjoy the physical, mental, and social benefits of nearby nature and recreation. And
whereas the City of Fitchburg strives to maintain safe and healthy park amenities for all ages and strives to offer a comprehensive recreation program including youth and adult classes, youth and adult athletic leagues, camps, and workshops.
Now, therefore, is resolved, I, Julia Radafrada, Mayor of the City of Fitchburg, Wisconsin, along with the members of the Common Council, do hereby proclaim July as a Park and Recreation Month in Fitchburg and encourage all residents to enjoy our parks and natural areas, to take advantage of classes, camps, and programs provided by the Fitchburg Recreational Department, and to share appreciation and thank with the department's many dedicated employees. This is proclaimed today, July 22nd of 2025. Okay. So we're going to take a picture. Yeah, we're going to take a picture. Do we have anyone from the parks? Patrick, you can take the picture. No?
Ladies, take a step forward. Gentlemen, together. Ladies, together. There you go.
Okay, so I have a couple of people that are registered for non-agenda items. So I want to call first Patrick Cheney. Oh, sorry, Patrick, yeah. What is Craig Winehole? Yeah, come on to the... You have 3 minutes.
Thank you for listening to me for a moment. I am not a citizen of Fitchburg, but I've worked here for 25 years, commuted every day, so I've got a very strong interest in the community and the health. I love your proclamation about parks. I use the parks all the time. The parks bring people here. They're a wonderful asset. Madison Metro is proposing north-south BRT. They've worked up a route that's going to come down Fish Hatchery Road and go around Caddis Bend and so forth. It's all very good. I am trying to raise one issue, and that's the nature of Fish Hatchery Road itself. It was just rebuilt 3 years ago at tremendous expense, and now the bus rapid transit would propose to put stations there, cause a lot of disruption. I firsthand witnessed this on the west side of Madison. And the neighbor backlash, the driver backlash, even though the work is done and complete, the driver backlash was loud and angry. People didn't understand why lanes were shifting, why there was disruption, why are they spending money on infrastructure that they didn't see as being needed. Unfortunately, it turned a lot of bus allies into enemies or opponents. This was very well documented on social media. This is very well documented in letters from like Paul Fanlin to the Capital Times, and it manifested itself in a council race too. Nikki Conklin was booted out by a council person in Madison, a new alder who was running on kind of a neighbor first plan against this stuff. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. Fish Hatchery Road is in great shape. Metro's own numbers show that ridership of the rapid route is up 110% since last year. That's with no infrastructure changes. That's just the new buses, the new schedule, the new fare system, all the good benefits. So my ask of Fitchburg is to maybe think about whether or not Fish Hatchery Road needs to go under the knife right now, or if that could be wait 5, 10, 20 years until the next reconstruction is needed, so that people don't perceive it as a waste of money. Obviously, there is new infrastructure needed. There's a new charging station that'll be needed by McKee Farms Park. There's a new station on Caddis Bend and so forth. So there's still many bus improvements that will be needed in the corridor. But the fact that ridership is up 110% with no changes at all should speak pretty loudly that maybe Metro is overstating the need to re-sculpt Fish Hatchery Road. Thank you.
Okay, so next we move to item 5. is the consent agenda.
I move approval.
Second.
Any questions and comments? Hear none. All those in favor of the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. So next we move to item 6, administrator report, and we have with us today our deputy, who is going to be joining us tonight. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few updates for tonight. So recently, the state did pass their budget, and as part of that the budget did contain funding for a juvenile prison to be located on the Oak Hill Correctional Facility institution property, and that's located on County Highway M. Staff is aware of kind of that was in the budget. We're currently reaching out to the state to gain additional details on what that project would look like and what that would entail for the city. And once we have updates on that, we'll share those with the council. Right now, we do have just limited information on that, but when we get more, we'll pass that along. Tomorrow and Thursday, it's going to be hot. Actually, tomorrow we have a heat advisory already. So the city has designated locations that offer a safe and cool place for people, including City Hall, the library, and the senior center. Just as a reminder to people, stay inside. If you have air conditioning, stay inside, drink plenty of water, and then check on vulnerable neighbors, family, friends, anyone who might have some health issues. Just check out and make sure that they're okay. But if people need a place to cool off, they're welcome to come to City Hall, library, or the senior center. Community Night Out, that's going to be August 13th at McKee Farms Park. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. It's a great event. I would encourage you to check it out if you haven't been there before. It'll have family-friendly activities, food, refreshments, and live music. So once again, check that out. This date is wrong. What did I do here? The senior center is having a blood drive. I put the wrong date in this, and I'll double check that as you're asking questions. So I'll come back to that one. And then lastly, we're having another Youth Government Day event. That's going to be August 25th to 27th. That's for middle school aged kids. So if you have a middle schooler or know a middle schooler who's interested in learning more about government, they can sign up online. At the event, they'll learn about various departments in the city with educational and fun hands-on activity. It also includes a free lunch, and it's free to attend. So once again, if you have a middle schooler like I have, a 7th grader, it's a great age to get those kids out of the house and away from you because they love not being around you. I would encourage you to sign up. I think we have limited space there, but there's still a space available. With that, I'd be happy.
I think there are 20, the capacity for 20.
There's 20, it's about half full, but we still have some space right now. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question for Alde Maldonado. Go ahead.
Thanks, Adam, for the updates. For the youth facility that's being built, I just wanted to clarify a couple things because I saw some chatter on social media about it, and I just want to clarify a couple questions if you could, just for the public. One, this facility is sort of in response to the potential closing of Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake facilities that are up north, right? There was a plan probably close to a decade ago where those facilities would be shutting down so that young people that were incarcerated did not have to be as far from their families as they once were, because those facilities were in northern Wisconsin. And then the other thing, if I understand correctly, that this is not, the decision to build it itself in Fitchburg is not under the jurisdiction of our council, correct? That is a decision that's made by the Department of Justice with the state of Wisconsin. Are those two, am I accurate on both of those?
The first statement is yes, you're accurate on that one. The second one, I believe you're accurate on that, but as we kind of work with the state, we'll continue to verify that is the situation, that it's under their purview.
It's the Department of Correctional.
Okay. Department of Corrections, sorry. I just wanted to make sure the public knew that the decision to build this facility is not a decision that council has jurisdiction over. And if you could clarify that for the public, it would just be appreciated.
Yep.
Will do. Okay, Donald, do you have a question?
Yes. No, I just wanted to help Adam out. The day, and I was going to mention it in my audit report, but thank you for bringing it up in your report. The day for the blood drive is actually Tuesday, July 29th, and that spans at the Fitchburg Community Center, Fitchburg Community Center, Oak Hill Hall, and that'll be at 510 Lacey Road, and the time will be 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And again, that is on Tuesday, July 29th.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you. Any question for Adams? Adam, no? Okay, so next we move to the mayor's report, and I have a couple of things that I want to share with you. Is that, our last meeting was at the end of June, so almost a month. A lot of things happened. I met with a lot of neighbors. I want to say thank you to the Highfield Reserve Neighborhood Association for the invitation to the annual picnic. I think you're going to mention that in your report too. Also was meeting with some business owners, developers about some projects that they maybe are in the pipeline. I also attended the ribbon cutting for the new restaurant in Fitchburg, Saferano, at the corner of Fish Hatchery and McKee Road. Adam mentioned about the community night out event. This is I think it's going to be our biggest event. Every year it's becoming bigger and bigger, so I will invite all the community to participate. Also, we are going to say goodbye to Drago. We are going to welcome our new dog, Chico. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend to a board meeting for the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. As you know, I am part of the board. We went through among other things, we discussed the governor's budget and how some of the impact in our cities. As you know, there are a couple of things that the governor and it was approved in the budget, like increase for transportation aid, our on average of 3% increase in our share revenue in the next 3 years. So it was good to discuss other topics with other mayors in different parts of Wisconsin. So we are all going through the same pains, housing, transportation. So that one was the topic that we discussed, and net new construction, and how the government or the state can increase our share revenue or modify the formula for the levy. So where all these things that I am pushing and working hard to see what are the things we can do as a municipality to increase the revenue that we are getting from the state. Regarding some event, we did our District 2 listening session, and I want to thank the ALDE for the district. And it was, I think it was very well attended, very good question. You can watch that meeting online. I also had my first coffee with the mayors last Friday, and it was very well attended. Our next information and listening session for District 1 will be August 14 at 6 o'clock at Redeemer City Church. Alder Dave Herft and Alder Maldonado are going to be also participating in the information and listening session. And my second coffee with the mayor will be on August 15, Friday, at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's only 1 hour at Tati Coffee Shop on Terravesa. What else? That's it for now. Any question for me? Nope? Okay. So next we move to commission and committee report, and we will start with Plan Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll start with the resolutions. Let me just pull up the...
This is economic development.
My computer's so slow today. Sorry, my computer is not responding to me. I'll move approval of Ordinance 2025-014, zoning ordinance amendment granting specific implementation plan zoning for rezone request RZ 2599-25 by Jason Griswold, agent for C&B Development LLC, to rezone properties from PDD SIP, Plan Development District Specific Implementation Plan, to PDD SIP, Plan Development District Specific Implementation Plan, to allow for virtual indoor golf and lounge with commercial kitchen available for rental and to food trucks on property associated with 2949 Triverton Pike Drive.
Second.
the Plan Commission did approve. Yeah. So I'll give a little summary of our conversation at Plan Commission. So this is the old Benvenuto's building. It is quite big for a restaurant. It was unlikely to be able to find a new full restaurant tenant. So Jason is bringing a virtual golf activity with also some small light food, pizza, and other types of kind of simple fried foods. But then also we'll be using that massive commercial kitchen, renting it out to different entities around town that want to use it for food prep, including food trucks, and potentially inviting a food truck, one every night, to be present when the facility is open. That will be available to both the public, just walking by in the street, and also to the residents or to the attendees of the virtual golf. The weird thing is that you might notice it went from PDD SIP to PDD SIP, which is really strange. PDD, Plan Development Districts, are basically like a custom zoning code for an area. And the custom zoning code for that area was only for Benvenuto's, basically. So we had to create a new PDD to allow for this, even though it's somewhat similar in nature and there's not going to be any significant changes to the facility. Generally says, the applicant says 10 p.m. will be the closing on most nights. The conditional use allows it to go until midnight. There may be live music. Nothing would be amplified, kind of simple, small, acoustic type music, think, potentially out on that little outdoor patio. The renovation is really limited to the interior, but I think they do have to do some outside work in order to get the items into the facility. And is interest, and he can talk more about this if he wants, to potentially do more in the future, kind of paying off the investment with this facility, and then potentially could look at something like housing down the line. They did have a neighborhood meeting, 8 attendees, and there was some positive feedback, and do envision some events, which would be kind of in the realm of corporate groups, birthdays, retirement parties. And again, like I said, we're going to rent the kitchen out to food trucks, which is a need in the community. The only facility like that really is on the north side, so this would be a unique version of that in the south side. And the plan is to potentially open October 11th this year, assuming the approvals go through, and maybe that's changed since then, but that's a rapid timeline. Thanks.
No, that was perfect.
Okay. Okay, any question, comment? Dave, yes, go ahead.
So golf simulators, is that what you're talking about with virtual golf?
Yes, so we're working with TrackMan to bring in 7 virtual golf simulators. They don't just do golf, they also do like frisbee, bowling, different games that kids could play at birthday parties. Really trying to make an inclusive space, but also utilize the 12,000 square feet above ground that is Benvenuto's. It's a little bit large by a long shot for any restaurant this day and age. So we're just trying to make use of the space in the most profitable way possible so that potentially we could work with the city to make something that is more functional going forward.
Thank you.
Any other question, comment? No? Okay, all those in favor of ordinance 2025-00-14, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you invite us for the opening.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
You'll be videotaped swinging, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think they also have a common council simulator you can use.
Oh, no.
Your swing will be compared to Charles Barkley, so you have to.
All right, I will move approval of ordinance 2025-015, zoning ordinance amendment approving rezone request RZ 2625 by Dave DeMarco, agent for Sierra West 2 LLC, to rezone from PDD GIP, Plan Development District General Implementation Plan, to district to the RH High Density Residential District in conformance with the current site development and use on property associated with 3620 Breckenridge Court.
Second.
Plan Commission did approve this. This is both a rezone and a conditional use approval, although the conditional use doesn't come to council. This is the Sun Valley Apartments that are along Fish Hatchery Road. There's currently 204 units. These were developed in 1974. This rezone is kind of a function of the fact that this property is so old and has been around for so long. They want to build a small leasing center and fitness center for residents with other resident amenities. But in order to do pull any sort of building permits, it needs to be rezoned. and high density is the zoning that makes the most sense under our current zoning code. And that's pretty much what, there's not going to be no additional units. It's still going to remain at the 204 units. The facility is really just leasing center and fitness center. Thanks.
Any question, comment? This is pretty straightforward. Okay, all those in favor of ordinance 2025-0-15, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Anything else from plan?
Yes, let me just pull up my notes. So we had quite a packed agenda. We did a conditional use for the municipal well and park facility on Wayfair Street, which is going to be the Stoner Prairie Park. It's mostly a well pumping station, but there's going to be bathrooms and a drinking fountain for the park. We also did an ADR, an architectural design review for Life Point at Nine Springs. This is going to be a UW and Life Point partnership for a rehab hospital. It is 58,500 square feet. There's going to be 40 inpatient beds for people that are recovering from issues that would require around a 2-week stay, things like stroke, orthopedic injury, brain injuries. They have no expansion plans in the future. This really maxes out the space available to them. There will be 100 parking spots, which are really for the 80 staff that are for that are required for that facility, and up to 20 for visitors. They build these types of facilities around the country, and they think that that's about the right amount of parking that they need. This is pretty high quality building materials. And this is in smart code, but because it's kind of a unique facility, it did come to Plan Commission. That's somewhat unusual. But there is going to be screening walls for the parking as well. That's the other note. We did approve that. We also had a pre-application for JT Klein, their Orchard Point project, which is on Nesbitt Road near the 10-pin bowling alley. It's that senior affordable housing development. They had to do some redesign because of stormwater management issues. They're planning 2 phases. Phase 1 would be 160 units of affordable senior housing. Phase 2 is 35 units. Might be market rate, might be affordable. They're not certain yet. It is currently business general zoning, but so it needs to be rezoned eventually to PDD in order to facilitate this. So they just wanted to show us that it was a pre-application, so there was no approval. They will bring that back. They want to move fast. They would love to start building spring of 2026, if possible, and they did get WIDA financing for that project. We also did an early issuance of permits for Uptown Hills Workforce Housing Development. That's that project near the Limerick and the Hartung Fields. It's the affordable housing, 24 townhomes, 3 bedrooms for people that are 30 to 80% of area median income. They needed the early issuance because they need to start building in order to release the financing from WIDA, and we don't let people build until they're done with the subdivision improvements, so they're in this weird limbo state. So we do the early issuance of permits. They will do the infrastructure, but they just do it as they're building the facility. They want to start August 1st, so we did approve that, and I believe they're probably already moving forward since that was last week. And then we got a report from the department. The new associate planner was hired. They start July 28th. Very excited because I come from a really extensive planning background, including the Southwest Regional Planning Association, so good hire. Neighborhood plans, as you all are aware, it went through commissions and they're incorporating the comments. The plan is to have it go to Plan Commission in September and then to council after that. We also had a long discussion, which might be worthwhile to take a look at, about possible zoning ordinance amendment proposals. Deanna's working on some things. We may, as we've been talking about, the mayor's been talking about, we're looking at potentially doing a comp plan update and a zoning code rewrite, but that's going to take time. And so the idea was to start with some changes that are kind of more straightforward and pretty clearly needed to kind of get that rolling. And she has changes proposed for medium density, medium high density, and high density. And that would, in order to basically reduce the need for PDDs, which is we do a lot of those because they just
Nothing fits in anything.
Nothing fits. And we don't even make high-density residential as a zoning. We never use it because it's not zoned properly. It's just not allowing the types of buildings that are used. There's really weird, shocks about some really weird requirements we have in our zoning code that's way out of date. So things related to those, and then also would be a potential ADU ordinance, an accessory dwelling unit in the backyards, that kind of thing. A new solar ordinance, since we do have so many solar projects coming through. And then also some changes to smart code that create some unnecessary increases in development costs that create, and a couple other small things. So no planned, she had no proposals related to low density zoning. Those are the ones that are focused on. So if you're interested in learning more, the Plan Commission meeting would be great, or we can chat about it later. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. So next we move to...
Can I ask Gabrielle
a
a quick question?
Good, go.
Gabrielle, the senior housing on Fitchburg Road, they're aware that Madison Metro changed the route and ruined a good thing?
Yes, I told them that they should need to look into that because that's obviously changing the circumstances and what the original talked about. So they said that they would take a look.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so next we move to Board of Public Works. Dave.
Bill is going to introduce the first one here.
Okay.
I'll move approval of ordinance 2025-0-10, amending Article 10, floodplain overlay zoning of Chapter 22 zoning ordinance. Board of Public Works approved.
Did Plan Commission approve?
Plan approved.
Oh,
RCC approved.
We need a second.
Oh,
second. Okay. It was approved in Plan and also on RCC. Okay. Okay. What is this?
Yes. So this is, let me grab my notes.
Tim is here too, so you will have questions.
Okay. So effective April 9th, there is a new set of flood insurance rate maps put out by FEMA. And Fitchburg is largely unaffected, but everybody needs to update their floodplain ordinance just to make sure that we're all consistent. The Wisconsin DNR has a model ordinance that we started with. And again, there were no changes to the floodplain maps for Fitchburg, but we needed to update our ordinance just to be consistent with the rest of the, with the DNR and with FEMA. Tim, is there anything you would like to add to that?
I don't have anything additional to add.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess the only other thing I will say is that if you enjoy maps, you can just Google for the DNR, Wisconsin DNR Surface Water Data Viewer map, and you'll be able to see, you can zoom in and see where where would the floodwaters go in the event of a large storm, that kind of thing. You can probably lose a few hours if you're a geek.
Can you send us a link?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Any other question, comments? No? Okay. All those in favor of ordinance 2025-0-10, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of Resolution R 22824, accepting subdivision improvements in inspiration of Swan Creek Certified Survey Map. This was postponed from January 28th.
Second.
Did the Board of Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Okay. What is this?
We are approving the improvements that been made in this CSM. I think most of us are aware of that. Kind of the relatively large area, that was void there that has now been built up, and so that is what is being approved.
Okay, this is like a standard procedure. Okay, any question, comment?
I can just add that the first few units are well along, siding's up. One of them, duplex, is fully enclosed. The other one looks like it's very close. So 5 units of the 58 are already pretty well under construction. Haven't heard any more about the rest.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of resolution R-2028-24, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next, I'll move approval of Resolution R-10625, approving agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of 7th Edition to 9 Springs. This was postponed from June 24th. Public Works approved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. And second by Micah. What is this?
Standard subdivision improvement agreement. This is to allow the project to proceed.
Which neighborhood is this? Is Terravesa?
This is Nine Springs. Get the map here.
Is this for the
Life
UW Life Point Clinic?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yep, that is correct. Thank you.
Any question?
Plan Commission did approve this one
Oh, sorry.
as well.
All those in favor of resolution R-106-25 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
Next, I'll move approval of Resolution R-10725, approving agreement for subdivision improvements in the Uptown Hills Certified Survey Map. This, again, was postponed from June 24th.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay.
Public Works approved,
Okay,
Madam
thank
Mayor.
you. Okay. What is this?
Again, a standard subdivision improvement. What unique feature in this one, the developer, we've requested they upsize the water main from 10 inches to 12 inches, and the water utility pays for the upsizing. So that's somewhat of a unique feature in this one.
Okay. Any question, comments? Okay. All those in favor of resolution R-107-25 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
Next, I'll move approval of Resolution R-11225, approving Amendment 1 to the agreement for engineering services with KL Engineering for construction-related services for Jamestown Quarry. This was postponed from June 24th.
Second.
Did the Board of Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance approved.
What is this?
So the city does not have adequate staff for the construction, inspection, and oversight of this project. This is primarily related to the intersection upgrades at McKee and Fitchburg Road. K&L has designed this, and so they're well aware of this. As I mentioned at Public Works, they should have very little travel cost associated with this since they're a block away. So we feel this is a good choice to use them for this function.
Okay. Any question, comment? Yes, go ahead.
Just kind of to clarify here, is this something that if we had additional staff capacity at City Hall that we could do ourselves?
We typically would try to do this ourselves. It would always be our goal. But again, I think if I talk about the example of the boa constrictor, when he eats the goat, and there's the big, kind of the same way with our projects. We, as a city or most businesses, want to staff for a base level, and they don't want us, for when you have large, excursions. And I think that's kind of the case with this project. So much going on. Thank you for asking that question.
And thank you for that beautiful metaphor.
Okay. Any other question, comment? Okay. All those in favor of resolution R-112-25 say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Mayor, I just have a few other things from Board of Public Works. Sain Road Phase 2, most of the underground is completed. The Phase 3, the Sain, we're still backfeeding and storing culverts and stormwater. That should be done by the end of the week. Leopold and Longford, the paving should be next week. The ARPA Street resurfacing in the Belmar neighborhood should be getting started next week, and we'll be having the bid opening for the street crack sealing, that type of work, the end of this week. I think that's all I had.
I have a question because I received a couple of complaints from people living in Longford and in your district about the delay of the resurfacing. So most of the delay happened because of the rain. So that one I want to make sure it's not because some people are saying that we don't have the money to pay. So so the money is there. We have the money to pay for all of these projects. The delay was caused by the rain. So so this is why I want to make sure that people need to be patient with this.
Yeah. I'll let Tim weigh in here, Madam Mayor, but, we give the contractor somewhat wide discretion for getting the work done. There is a relatively, wide window, and if get no rain, ideal weather, it gets done relatively quickly, but it hasn't been the case. I don't know if Tim, if you want to weigh in. I'm always looking for the end product. I realize there's pain while it's going on, but the end result is what we get a good end result is kind of what I'm focused on. But I understand the residents' frustration with the pace.
Specifically with Longford Terrace, the contractor was grading yesterday. Today they were adjusting manholes, and as long as the rain holds off, they anticipate paving either on Friday or early next week. So again, it's weather dependent on paving. There's a lot that goes into it. Once you remove the existing pavement and it rains, it takes a day or two to dry out, and there's washout areas they need to regrade. They need to also meet density, and it's difficult to meet that when it's wet. So we need that to dry out, and then obviously you can't pave when it's raining. So it's very weather dependent construction. So it's just something we're working through, and looks like there's a little rain potential in the next couple days. So like I said, it's most likely the paving's gonna, for specifically Longford Terrace, be early next week.
Thank you, Tim. We have a question from Alder Maldonado. Go ahead.
Oh, not a question, but I did get the residents. There was a resident on Aztec Trail that was, sharing his concerns with all the rain that hit. But I did notice the day after he emailed us that I went down and there was a crew kind of working on I think it was the intersection Aztec and I can't remember the name of the street, but they were clearly working to be able to fix that heavy bump that caused vehicles to kind of have a hard time getting through. So I just wanted to point out that the city was very efficient and quick in getting folks out there, and I'm appreciative of that.
Thank you. Anything else, Dave?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And now we move to Park Commission. So
I'll move approval of Resolution R11525, approval of professional design service for Kids Crossing at McKee Farms Park.
Second.
Who's second? Okay. Did Park Commission approve?
Park Commission approved.
Did Finance Committee approve?
Finance approved.
Okay, so we have Patrick Cheney. He wishes to speak in opposition of this. Come in, Patrick.
Grants and donations were never going to cover this $1 million project, so it was switched to property taxes, starting with $60,000 for this consulting planning contract, $375,000 in property taxes in 2025 work, and $600,000 in property taxes going into this year's budget for 2026 work. You saw that already. Over a month ago, the mayor warned this budget for 2026 starts out bad, saying it's not looking good. It's $500,000 short just at the start. Some things will need to be cut. Cutting this saves $600,000 from next year's 2026 budget. It solves that budget shortfall problem right there, with money left over for other things. You see that too, right? If any company is offered a large check for a job, they will do the job so they get paid. What about asking a question up front? In their professional opinion, should this job be done as specified? Does it need to be done? Only if the answer is yes, and get a second opinion, this progresses to a replacement plan. Is this the right plan? Is it in such bad condition for demolition and destruction and start over from scratch? It's already ADA compliant for almost all of it. That's an issue that was raised as justification. A donated ramp specifically accommodates wheelchair access to higher levels. There's labels all over for donations from people, family, companies, for many parts of it. What happens to those? I spent a half an hour way back. I looked it over. It looked mostly solid to me, needs minor repairs. I issued a challenge to each of you on this council. Did you rise to the challenge? Did you spend a half an hour out of the past month or so to go see it? Or are you voting blindly on hearsay on this $1 million project from our property taxes? Call for a roll call vote, with each alder stating for the record, on camera, if you walked through it firsthand, put eyes on it, or you did not go see for yourself if it is really necessary to entirely replace it. If you didn't see it or you're undecided, stop, amend to delay, reevaluate while you go see it first. Any questions?
No. Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Okay, so we are open the discussion. Adam, can you go ahead and tell us why we need to do this?
Thank you. So the playground is approximately 23 years old. We did have it was looked at by a consultant who did recommend it needed a bunch of work or replacement. For better, for worse, I think from a staff standpoint, it's reached that age where from our feeling is that it needs to be replaced. It's starting to rot. It has issues and challenges. Could you potentially, if you decided to put, just repair it? I mean, that's always an option. It's just how long does it get you, and at what point are you just making drastic changes or just kind of just putting a Band-Aid on it? Anything that kind of hits that 23-year age mark, though, does have challenges. So part of our basis from a staff standpoint was the report that the study, not study, but the recommendation from the consultant was to replace that.
Okay, Gabriel.
A couple things just in response to the public testimony we heard. So this is not, when we talk about the challenges for the budget coming up, we're talking about general operating funds that are coming through property taxes. But Kids Crossing, if you look in the CIP project, that $600,000 is borrowing, so it's debt financed. We have very cheap debt in the city because we have a AAA bond rating from Moody's. Our last bond issuance was around 2% interest. So, and we have a lot of debt capacity. So I understand that not everyone's pro-debt, but this is not coming directly from the property tax levy. It is debt financed. And the benefit of debt financing that I think people don't always think about is that it's paid for by future city residents, not just the current city residents. So if we were taking it out of property taxes, then it would just be paid for by this group, right? But now it's going to be paid for the next, 20 years worth of residents who are going to utilize that park. So debt financing spreads the cost over the future uses of the park, which is a good thing for a facility like this that's used across the city. Second, in regards to accessibility, that chopped up tire is not accessible. Anyone that, if you know somebody that has accessibility issues, that has difficulty walking around, that is not a place that they can walk. So a port in place, like you see at the inclusive playground, that's also McKee Farms Park, is actually inaccessible. And that is the plan for this park facility, is to have a port in place so that people can utilize, people that with mobility issues or children with mobility issues can actually utilize the facility, which is not true at this time. The other thing we talked about in finance was that we do need community input on this project because this is a park that is beloved across the city. And so they will be, the parkitecture is going to be at Community Night Out. But we also talked about in finance a request that we make sure that we do some more public comment. I have already heard about this from residents wanting to say something about it. So we need to make sure we do some community engagement on this. Thank you.
Nicole and then Micah and then Dave.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, thank you for calling out the ADA compliance. It really is hard when, that's brought forward. I have a niece in a wheelchair, and you can't drive a wheelchair over rubber shreds. Also, if you just go up and back down the ramp, like when you're a 10-year-old girl, that's not fun. So please don't call things ADA compliant when they are not. That is not an ADA compliant, nor accessible, nor fun park for anyone in a wheelchair. Also, I think I appreciate your point on, we need to spend time in the park. I've spent many hours in that park, having a 4 and a 7-year-old. And so I would love to put my numbers up against anybody up here and tell you, Micah, maybe you could give me a run for my money. Yeah, that's fair. Archer just runs around everywhere. But I think the other thing is that back in the day, we thought tire shreds was a really resourceful padding. Like, I remember when it first came out and I was like, this is great, a great way to reuse tires. We're recycling. And now studies show like they actually think they're leaching some chemicals and might not be the most safe. And so I think it's really also an imperative for the city to make sure that if your kid's like mine, I watched a memory video of my son shoving them in his mouth because he's gross and sweet. But I think it is an imperative for us to keep our children safe and make sure that we're putting the most researched, up-to-date quality standards within the park. So I really appreciate that this is being brought forward. It's an incredibly diverse park, one that a lot of people can bike to. It's in the middle of a ton of different neighborhoods, and I think there's a lot of community members using it. So just wanted to highlight those points.
Thank you. Micah?
Yeah, so to kind of reiterate that, so I mean, I appreciate the challenge on any big project like this to ask us to go out to the thing that we're looking to replace and say, please go look at it, please go see if this makes sense with your own eyes. Similar to what Nicole said, I mean, a half hour a month, I've probably been every month for the last 9 years. I mean, I could probably walk that park with my eyes closed and not hit my head. When you walk through that park, and you see maybe we could repair some of these things, it neglects to look at all the things that have already been removed from the park just for safety issues. There was the car that's not there anymore. When I told my daughter that we were going to replace this park, she said, oh good, can they rebuild the platform so the kids can actually reach the monkey bars? There's stuff that's already even been removed and isn't even there anymore because of safety issues. So that said, I love this park. My daughter loves this park. I'm going to be very intentional about making sure that this park remains a flagship park for the city, and it's not just the standard plastic park that kind of gets put in playgrounds, but bigger. We need to have something that is important to the city that the city can look to and say, like, this is our flagship park. And so that's kind of what we were talking about with finance, which was the public input on this will be large. I think if we hold an information session, I am pretty plugged into the parent community. It will be well attended if you hold a public information session and say, come and give us opinions on what we want in this park. It will be very well attended, and we'll get a lot of feedback. And I think we can have a good community design session around this park, and that we can make it something good again. So that's all.
Thank you. Dave, go ahead.
I think my position on this is well known to you. I helped install that originally when it went in. I was able to volunteer a day or two in there, and it has a very special place in my heart. I'll give you another analogy, not the boa constrictor, but I'll give you a bad heart. You go to a doctor, he says, your heart is bad, you got to replace it. And you say, well, maybe I'd like to get a second opinion. And I've gotten a second opinion. I've brought a building contractor there with me that's very reputable. His name is on the name of the park. And they outlined a plan for me that could be refurbished and life extended at a cost considerably less. No one was willing to accept that, and that's somewhat troubling to me. We're not made out of money here, and I would add that park is a magical place. Those structures, my kids played there, and I tell you, they fell a lot of times in those tires. We went home without broken bones. As I read, I think the hazard of the tires. If the kids aren't putting them in their mouth, Nicole, I think the hazard is somewhat overstated. They've saved many kids, and we could replace the tires and put down the hard surface. I'm not in favor of this. I feel we should have found a way to do some more fundraising and restored this and maintain this historical document that basically the residents built. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Any other comment, Logan?
All right. Well, I can start out by saying I did take Patrick's challenge, and I did go, not for a full half hour as a single childless man in his 30s. I did not want to spend 30 whole minutes in a playground and make people uncomfortable. But I spent a little bit of time there over the weekend, probably 15 minutes, and talked with a couple folks. And a lot of what I heard from them was what we've heard up here, is that this really needs to be a flagship. It has this reputation. There aren't playgrounds like this anymore. It is something that is special, and we take our park so seriously here in Fitchburg. I think that message is loud and clear. Even just walking around in that short time, the fence, I could tell just by looking at it, was not at a 90. It was quite leaning. That ramp that may or may not be, compliant, but certainly is not fun, was covered in those little tire chips, which would make it hard for a wheelchair user to use it, even if it is technically compliant. But it was also settled in so many different directions. It felt like walking on kind of an unsteady ground. And that was just, again, I did not go down any slides or anything for obvious reasons, but I didn't want to make the condition any worse. But just as a layperson walking into a playground and looking at it for a few minutes and noticing some pretty glaring issues, I wonder, just how much it's worth salvaging. I have read that plaque several times and see all the names that have gone into building this. I'd love to see more community input and, help make this better for the next generation of Fitchburg kids. I also just think that at some point if you have a bad heart, you can't replace one valve and then another valve and a third valve. You can, and I don't know how many valves a heart has. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But at some point it's better to just get a transplant. And that's kind of what I think this is. I hear, that there is some movement being made on a foundation to better support our parks as a community, sort of a nonprofit structure, which I think would be a great way to get some of that community involvement. I don't know if we could have folks help put it together anymore. I think we'd have to ask our city attorney about any liability issues there. But I think that it sounds like the time has come for this to be passed on to the next generation in a better form than it is now.
Thank you. Then we move to Donald.
Yes, I don't mean to belabor or beat a dead horse. I just want to be able to comment to the public comment we had and say that, like some parks in my District 3 that I visited, I've also visited this park as well before making any type of decisions around like what should be done in the area. So not entering into that space blindly, but everyone has already made enough points. I don't need to repeat myself. So I appreciate everyone's carefulness and diligence entering into this space, and just wanted to express that this is a place I visited too, and not entering into a vote or speaking about something blindly.
Thank you. Gabriela?
I just wanted to say too that I probably should have said this up front, and Dave reminded me that, thank you, Dave, for all the work you did to make this park possible, and to all the people in the community, because it truly is magical. Yeah. It's wonderful, and it is like very special compared to other things you see around you don't see this other places, and it really is magical. And so I don't want the fact that we're looking at replacing it to be some sort of like, we are grateful that it existed and that this happened and that the community made that possible. And it's a really beautiful outpouring from the community. And I love that. And it is going to be sad to see it go. Thank you to everybody that participated in it. And it has to, and like Micah said, like, this has to be special. This can't just be a run-of-the-mill park, because it's replacing something that's really beautiful and special. And so it has to be unique too. It has to be in the spirit of what this current facility is, even though it's not going to be, it can never be the same.
Yeah, I plan to be annoying about making sure that this park lives up to what it was before in the future. So
thank you.
And sorry, just a quick question. Will council and/or will the community have opportunity to that point? For example, like if we could salvage some of the bricks, or if there are certain parts that are like a key part of our history and our heritage. I would love to continue celebrating people who made this a part. It sounds like that would be voices very welcome at the table. And I think it's something that like the community would love to see. Of course, you know, if it costs a bunch of money to save things, then we should be fastidious, but yeah.
Our Parks Commission will
I have Bill. You want to say something?
I do want to comment.
dedicated to looking at this very diligently.
Okay. Okay. Bill and then Adam is.
Sorry, Bill,
One second.
or Dave, I didn't
wait.
hear you because your mic was off.
Okay, Joe, do you want
I
to
was
say?
saying, I think Dave was saying something, but I couldn't hear him on the audio.
Was I off? I thought it was on.
Oh, okay. It's red.
No, it's on. Joe, I'm sorry. I said the Parks Commission will look at this very hardly, very diligently. I think the Parks members have great interest if some of it can be retained. Okay, but again, we'll take community input and you know, again, this will be under scrutinized very diligently. Yes.
Okay, Bill.
Yeah, I was also around back when this was built, and I put in some volunteer hours, as did my wife and some of our extended family as well that came in from out of town to help with this. And, you know, after 23 years, if a wooden structure needs to be replaced, I don't feel personally insulted by that. I think we did a wonderful job as volunteers, and we made something great. And, you know, to say that it's time to move on is just, it's perfectly acceptable to me. And, you know, my youngest child is now 22, so I haven't frequented that park in quite some time, but, you know, when my kids were little, I was there, and over the years, we occasionally go back, and as Micah said, you know, some of the things just, they didn't work well, they were not safe, and then they disappeared. So I think, you know, if we hired a professional and the professional's opinion is it's time to replace it, I certainly don't have the expertise to make that call, and I don't know that anyone on the council does, but a professional engineer probably does.
Thank you. We did an audit. Okay, Adam, do you want to?
Yeah, just two comments. One of the questions we asked the consultant was, how do we recognize the past donors? That's important to the community. So that definitely is on their list of things to consider. They had some examples from other communities they've worked in. So that definitely, as part of this, our goal is to create something out there that will continue to recognize the original donors on that park. Second thing is, if people do have comments, I've already gotten at least one email on this. Send them my way. I would appreciate that. We'll take them now. If people have thoughts, comments, ideas, you know, I think the first email I got was trying to keep the castle type look to it. That was very valuable to this person. So if you have people talking to you about this, send them my way. Shoot me an email. We'll pass it along and kind of put it on the list.
Thank you.
I'll send my daughter to your office.
As long as she's not a seventh grader, I'll take her.
So I assume everyone spoke, and I want to mention, you know, my experience with this. I was there yesterday, Patrick, and I live 2 blocks away from that park, so I walk that park every day. I have noticed in the last couple of years the deterioration of that park, and when we talk about fundraising, I want to tell especially the new council members when we built the inclusive playground, that one was a private and public partnership. And I was very involved in that park. And it took me almost 4 years to raise $80,000. And one of the biggest donors put $50,000. So I know that, yes, when we say we can fundraise the money, we don't have a friends or the Fitchburg Parks, a group that they can do the fundraising. We cannot do that fundraising, you know what I mean? So, and we cannot wait longer, you know, for another 5-6 years to repair this park. So for me as a mayor, safety of our kids is priorities, number one. And I don't think this is a spending money. This is an investment in our community, in our children's safety. This is how I see it. And I want to say thank you for all of you that are going to support this, because I think we are going to build something better, healthier for our kids. we are going to feel proud for the new, park. So that's it. Any final comments before we go to vote?
Roll call just on the vote.
Yes. So we are going to do roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Dantzler Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhart.
Aye.
Alder Herbst.
Nay.
Alder Jetzer.
Aye.
Alder Lattice.
Aye.
Alder Maldonado.
Aye.
Alder Ragsted.
Aye.
Alder Bafadari.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next, I'll move approval of Resolution R-11525, approving professional design and engineering services for Southdale Park.
Second.
Parks Commission approved.
Finance approved.
Okay, thank you. What is this, Dave?
So this is, a couple of sections in the park where we're replacing equipment. In there, it's not, we have a very big master plan for this park. This isn't accomplishing everything, but a couple of the play areas, we are upgrading the equipment. I would also add, we are saving some equipment that is in the park. And when we're done with this will be, in my view, a very nice enhancement.
We also are planning to add some water feature, isn't it?
Yes, we will have a water. I don't believe that's in this one though,
Okay.
but that is included in our plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this.
It's a splash pad, Madam Mayor, but that's coming later on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so any question, comment about this park? I think it's time to redo this. So okay, wait, Logan.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that if we have any equipment that's not in the way and isn't in bad shape, that we certainly look into keeping it. We can certainly take it out down the road if it becomes unsafe. But if it's safe and used and not in the way, I don't know why we would remove it. So
We have several pieces, Logan, that are in that category that we're planning to retain. Thank you for asking.
Okay, any other question, comment? Here none. All those in favor of resolution R-116-25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Next one.
Next, I'll move approval of Resolution R-11825, amending 2025 park fee fund budget for the Hartung Park development.
Second.
Parks approved.
Finance approved.
Thank you. What is this?
I'm missing my notes here. I'm sorry.
Oh, we have Adam.
Could you?
Oh, you.
Thank you.
This is basically the facility is almost done, but this was not budgeted for just because it happened so quickly. And so this is just basically releasing the money. The money exists. It's paid in park fees. We just need to be able to release it and use it. So
it's a staging of where it was in the year. Yeah. Thank you.
And why do we need 2/3 vote?
It's a budget amendment, so it was not budgeted. Now, what this is doing, it's going to pay for the concept design work. It'll budget money to build it, which it's not going to get built this year. And then it will also pay for the engineering work with it as well, too. And it's just moving that money because it was not budgeted. We have the funds from the park fee in lieu and park improvement fees. We're just actually budgeting it now so we can spend it.
I have a question that I asked privately, but I want to ask now in public. So, so this is $150,000 for the implementation of the design. So, so I want to understand that it includes the design and the implementation, isn't it? It includes the equipment, isn't it? The $150,000, or is to design that?
So there's multiple parks in this development.
Oh,
this is one, I think, of
3.
Yeah, I thought it was 3 also. Yeah.
3 parks?
So there's 3 parks in here. So this is one of 3. So I'm suspecting, looking at the concept that was put together, it's not going to take the full amount of money. So we're allocating it, but there are other parks that are planned in this area too. That have been dedicated to us.
1 larger and 2 smaller.
Yeah.
Okay, another question that I ask in private, but I want to be. So people can say, this is all multifamily, young people living. Why do we need a park with playground?
So there is this park here, if we looked at it from a staff standpoint, is across the street. I think we have the
the
Limerick.
Oh, yeah,
So I
yeah.
think from our standpoint, as we looked at walking distances and how kids can get there, this might be a good one for the kids. There is one planned to the east to here, adjacent to the multifamily area, the buildings, and that one I would say is more like a, I don't want to call it a town center, but more of like a plaza type park. So that one probably isn't going to have. Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate that, but this one, just with the location where the kids are across the street, it felt like a need from our standpoint.
Any other question, comment? You? Okay, go ahead, Logan.
And I can just add one more thing onto Adam's point. Second point there is Gigi's Playhouse has also announced that they're looking at, and they're already fundraising and have raised quite a bit of money to build a new facility serving folks with Down syndrome and their families at that corner right next door. I believe what their vision is includes a fenced-in playground, but it certainly would be a complementary use to have another playground right there. If one gets filled up, there's certainly more room. And to the point about the Limerick too, when I've been walking through there, even in the winter, I saw a lot of bikes and a lot of toys. So there are certainly quite a few kids just in the Limerick, the kind of the townhouse part of that development as well.
Okay, thank you. So this one is, we need 2/3 of the vote, so we're going to do roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Dantzler Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhardt.
Aye.
Alder Herbst.
Aye.
Alder Jetzer.
Aye.
Alder Lattice.
Aye.
Alder Maldonado.
Aye.
Alder Reichstad.
Aye.
Alder Papadari.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Dave, anything else for parks?
I do not have anything.
Okay, thank you. So next we move to the library board.
All right, let me pull up my notes here. The biggest item from our meeting on July 16th was approving the draft budget. A couple things to point out with that is there was a significant cut in county library aid. It's going to be about a $30,000 cut. If you're looking at the budget, it looks like $40,000. That was because when we approved our last year budget, there was an additional $10,000 or so that we expected the county, I believe, to be in the county budget for programming. That never ended up happening. So it's a cut of money that we never had to begin with and just kind of planned for if it were to come through. So it's closer to a $30,000 decrease. Fortunately, though, to align with county standards, you have to have a certain number of books and a certain number of things in your collection and a certain number of staff. Fortunately, we don't have to add staff just to meet the county threshold for this budget. So that is a big relief for yours truly. We will need to add a little bit to our collection. One thing that's a little bit concerning is that there will be some significant cutbacks on any sort of unscheduled equipment or facility repairs for if the door breaks and we have to call a vendor, or the garage door or HVAC or things like that, anything that isn't done in-house. That's one of the places that the budget is being trimmed for any sort of kind of emergency or unplanned needs, which our library director acknowledged is not ideal, but is one of the circumstances we find ourselves in. We're also seeing utility bills still higher than we'd like, even though the issue with the chiller has been fixed. It seems like the utility bills, even as our energy use was down, the bill was up, as I'm sure many of us can relate with our own MG&E bills or Reliant bills. So that was kind of the main takeaways from the draft budget, which will come before us later on. We also found out that there were more than 400 responses for the survey that was sent out, have not been analyzed yet, but certainly I know that there was a comment made about, oh, we wish we had more, but 400 seems like a pretty solid number to me. That is what I can report from the library board.
Thank you. So next we move to the Commission of Aging Well. Donald?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just have a few things to report from Aging Well. Aging Wells continues to work on their department outreach plan and has spent the last 2 months collecting data about each district. And then what that has consisted of, if you haven't been following, is each of the alders from the districts were invited to an Aging Well meeting to talk about demographics and different complexities related to governing their respective districts, so that the senior center can put together a strategic plan on how to increase membership and more bodies through the doors at the senior center. And that can include areas of including more programming, continuing to look at transportation and those types of things. The consulting firm working on the housing plan gathered an information session of older adults, and that took place yesterday, July 24th, from 12:30 to 2 p.m. So I hope other individuals were able to attend that and provide their feedback related to the housing plan. The senior center is excited to be taking on an intern. So the intern is from the UW social work program, and that individual will be starting this fall working with the senior center. And then lastly, on July 2nd, the senior center had a very successful lunch and learn that featured 2 local Black authors that shed some important light on things that related to the Fitchburg community. And I know several alders and other Fitchburg constituents and residents were there. So I just ask that everyone read those newsletters that are coming out around the lunch and learn schedule and all of the important events that are happening at the senior center. And then Adam, during the city administrator's report, also referred to the blood drive that is taking place. I believe Mandy is the one sponsoring that event and spearheading and kicking it off. So if you're able to donate blood, please attend that event on July 29th. I think Alder Maldonado wants to add something as well.
Yeah, thank you, Alder Dantzler. I just wanted to add for the Lunch and Learn event. It was really a pleasure to hear from the 2 speakers. One of them was the author of a book called Growing Up Black in South Madison, and he just provided a really good overview of how policy often can displace people and harm people, and just the importance of keeping that in mind. I also wanted to point out to everybody watching, all the alders as well, that there's a building on Park Street in Regent. It's a new apartment development. And actually you can go inside of the building, the doors aren't locked, and there's a gigantic history wall of basically the Triangle neighborhood in Regent Street. That was an area of settlement for African-American, Italian-American, and Jewish immigrants and migrants. And they were ultimately displaced by eminent domain, which is why the south side of Madison has historically been a settlement neighborhood for immigrants and also African Americans. So I would just encourage anybody to go in there and just check out that wall. It's an incredible piece of history. And Richard Harris, one of the speakers, was somebody who kind of broke all of that down. So just huge shout out to Janice, who's on the Commission of Aging Well. She's just been pivotal, instrumental in bringing some amazing programming to the senior center. And I think, she deserves her flowers for all the work that she does for inclusion in our city.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thank you for those wonderful additions, Alder Maldonado. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And I agree with you, Joe, about Janice. Resource Conservation Commission?
Yes, we met on July 14th to discuss, among other things, the floodplain ordinance. But also we discussed the potential for participating in the Dane County Food Scrap Stop program. So this would be a drop-off site somewhere in the city with 4 65-gallon carts where people could drop off their compost, vegetable scraps. There would be a weekly pickup. This could run all year, and the cost would be in the neighborhood of $7,000 for the city. Yeah. We discussed the RCC 2026 operating budget, which is largely the same. Nothing major to talk about there. We're still planning a bring your own bag event at one of the grocery stores You can, as you're walking into the grocery store, if you're bringing your own bags, then you can get a little prize, and possibly pick up a reusable bag. Details still pending. We discussed the plastic film collection. So the Lions Club had those, still has those collection bins. They reached their goal of 2,000 pounds collected within a year, and they think they're going to let that continue for the next year and try and collect another ton of plastic bags. So because they made their goal, they've got we received and installed a bench made of recycled plastic, and it's in McKee Farms Park near Kids Crossing next to the big lion-shaped drinking fountain there.
I if somebody wants to recycle.
Yes. So you take whatever plastic bags you accumulate from, your vegetables at the grocery store, or just when you check out at the store, if they give you plastic bags, instead of throwing them away, collect them all, just put a whole bunch of bags into one of the bags. Once that thing is full, tie it off, and you can bring it to one of the locations and drop it in the bin. There's one out here at City Hall in the entrance. There's another one at
the library? No, I don't know.
At Pick and Save, and I don't recall if there was a third one somewhere.
We need to find out where they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But another kind of nuance for the plastic film recycling is that an awful lot of that gets dumped down at our drop-off site in the polystyrene bin.
Oh.
So Ben Schulte has been in talks with Pelletieri, and we will likely be able to just actually properly dispose of our plastic bags in that bin, and Pelletieri can take care of it. So we'll see, again, pending details there. As of July 1st, the new police facility is nearing readiness for getting bids. And what we heard at RCC is that we may no longer be pursuing LEED certification. I don't know if Adam can comment on that at all, or Chad. He looks so happy.
So the last conversation I had with Paul Woodard, the city senior project engineer who's coordinating the project in assistance with the police department, was the architectural firm did not complete the necessary drawings or materials that would be necessary to pursue the LEED certification. Paul was currently in the process of assessing our contract with them to determine if that was a required component of the bid and the project award or not. I have not had the opportunity to follow up with Paul yet to determine where that particularly sits. But at the end of the day, that information was not available when the project went out for bid, and the decision was made in consultation with Mayor Aradafrada to proceed with bidding the project in order to keep it on its current schedule and minimize our winter construction costs that would obviously increase the price. What I can report is while the building may not be able to obtain LEED certification specifically, all of the sustainability components that have been discussed with the Common Council in the past, as well as RCC, remain in the project. Whether we're talking solar, geothermal, enhanced building envelope with insulation and windows, all of those things remain in the project as it's out for bid. And simply what we will be missing perhaps as part of the LEED certification, and I don't want to sound as though I'm diminishing LEED certification, but I'm not, is a plaque formally recognizing that it achieved LEED certification, and the expense of, I think it was a couple $100,000 in additional costs to obtain that certification. As the project nears awarding of the bid, be a good opportunity for you to ask Paul Woodard any specific questions related to LEED, or if you want to reach out to him directly via email or phone, feel free, and he can provide any updated information since I've last chatted with him a few weeks ago about this.
Do you happen to know off the top of your head? I mean, because, you mentioned it was an extra, what was the number, like 170,000 or something, but a good chunk of that is for kind of project oversight along the way to make sure we're meeting benchmarks and stuff. Are we going to, what's happening with that to make sure that we're on track as we go, rather than, potentially discovering when it's too late that we didn't do something correctly?
Well, if we're not pursuing LEED certification, we won't have the added oversight of making those certifications along the way. That's my understanding, and I'm by no means familiar with the LEED certification process, is that certain benchmarks and, more importantly, documentation has to be provided at various steps along the construction process. We do have, obviously, Pepper Construction as our city representative on the construction side of things. So because we have the enhanced building envelope and other components within this project still as it's gone out for bid, they will certainly be able to help confirm that those products, if you will, or materials were installed in the project that would have helped us achieve LEED certification had we retained the ability to do so. So in effect, as I understand it, we will have a project that is built, if not to, but nearly to LEED standard. It just will not have the LEED certification associated with it.
Any other questions?
That's it for my
Okay.
comments on PD facility. Okay. A couple other items left here for RCC. The city's EV fleet is
Thank
up
you,
to
Chad.
10 vehicles right now, and we have 10 vehicles, and we have 7 chargers. As a reminder, the changes when HR 1 was passed at the federal level, we have only until September 30th of this year to still get a $7,500 rebate on any new EV purchases. So our fleet may not grow much beyond 10. And, we got final numbers from the utility companies. So the city of Fitchburg's renewable electricity was 41.7% of our total, which puts us a bit ahead of schedule from what we had originally planned. I think it was 40% by 2025. Okay. We're at 41.7%, so a little bit ahead. That's the end of my update.
Thank you. Then we go to TTC.
All right. We spent the majority of our meeting on July 10th looking at both the Greenfield and the South Stoner Prairie neighborhood plans and sharing our feedback with Ross to share with staff. A couple other updates on the BRT project. It sounds like it is still moving through the Federal Transit Administration with nothing notable to report as of this moment. Knock on wood. One other note, there's no update on the D2 reroute, which is the change to the bus route that serves Fitch-Rona and Nesbit, including the proposed affordable senior facility that we discussed earlier tonight. We likely need to continue to have conversations with Metro and likely put some money into restoring service in that area. Otherwise, the only other thing I can think of is that we will not be having our August meeting because we did have a July meeting.
Okay, thank you. So next we move to Community and Economic Development Authority. Joe?
I'll be introducing the amendment or the resolution. It's R11725, approval of a contract between the City of Fitchburg and Sustain Dane for the implementation of Phase 2, Project 2 of the Efficiency Navigator Program.
Second. That was
Okay.
unison.
It was approved by,
Finance approved.
oh, we are missing that in here. Okay, fine, it's approved. Okay, thank you. So, okay, do you want to share what it is, or otherwise I'm gonna call Joyce Frey? Thank you, Joyce.
Sure.
And also we have.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just give a little background and I'll let Joyce move from there. But this is a program we've talked about before in council and committee of the whole. It's essentially approving for phase 1 of this project. So the details are in the packet, but I'll let Joyce take the lead on describing it in more detail.
Thanks, Joe. This is the implementation phase of the Efficiency Navigator, and it has been broken down into 2 projects. The first project you have before you is the, oh, actually, this is the second project. The first one was already approved. We had split the 2 projects into, well, the project into 2 phases due to the fact that we were hoping to capitalize on some of the Inflation Reduction Act dollars and some grants that we applied for with the City of Madison, which we were successful, however, not as successful as we had anticipated. So in the packet, you can see this is the more pricier items, some refrigeration, heating, cooling, and some additional work. So if you have any questions, feel free to fire away.
Any question? You're asking for us or for? We have Leslie Sheridan.
If you have any questions for me,
okay.
And
Claire,
they're on in case you have technical questions.
Okay.
Leslie and Claire are also on.
Yeah.
Leslie's with Sustain Dane and, I'm sorry, with Elevate, and Claire is with Sustain Dane.
Okay, good. Okay, any question, comment, Gabriela?
Just one note from finance that I asked. The total Efficiency Navigator project that we're talking about, that we've been talking about, is 76 units in 10 buildings.
Correct.
But this project is improvements in 6 buildings, a total of 44 units, just for anyone's curious.
And as I've kind of stated before, the window quotes that we were anticipating to bring forward have increased significantly. So that will be coming forward as a separate request because we will need to have a budget amendment for that. We're working on getting that together, but I think you might be a little surprised when you see the dollar amount on that. The program's been going very well. We were hoping to keep it going. As you remember, some of you do, some are new. 2019, we did our first housing plan and formed our first housing advisory committee. They went through the plan and they ranked what the recommendations were for the plan. And the number one thing that that group decided was we really needed to focus on updating our older housing stock. And this program is actually working the way it should be. It's a benefit directly to the tenants. So we're pretty excited about it and hope to continue on the future doing more things.
Joyce, can you share how many people are being affected or improving? We are improving the quality of life because if we are improving the housing with this program.
10 buildings, and it could be anything. We focused on units that were 16 or less. Mm-hmm. So we've hit a significant amount of people. Mm-hmm. One other thing I wanted to mention too, we've had 2 change orders through this program. and both of those were for insulation. When they got up to do the attic insulation inspection, they found mold that was in 2 of the buildings. So instead of adding insulation, they had to redo the insulation, which prompted the owners to re-roof the building. So we've had some really good things come out of this. And as I stated in finance, we would like to see more dollars put towards this for the health and safety part. As you know, we've had a fire that we lost a life in an older building, and we've had a couple in the past. So that might be something that we may be coming to you to say, hey, we really need to look at putting a bucket of money to set aside for that as well.
Can you
because it's really important.
Yeah, can you share with the public from where we are getting this money?
Well, I don't want to school anybody on TIF, but these dollars are from keeping open our successful TIDs for an additional year. According to state statutes, those dollars can only be used for affordable housing initiatives. And if, for those of you who aren't familiar with TIF, TIF is our incentive tool that we have in which the 5 taxing jurisdictions all participate in the funding. So these dollars are not coming from the general fund. These are coming from capitalizing that fund or that extra year. So if not for doing that, we would not be able to provide any type of resources to focus on our housing issues. So we appreciate the support. It'll probably be another 10 years-ish before we'll be closing another TID. So we're trying to take these dollars and use them very wisely and look at it as more of a kind of a match for a lot of the programs that we're looking at versus just getting the money out the door and then we have nothing left for initiatives that come down the road.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? No? Okay. All those in favor of resolution R-117-25 say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie and Claire, for hopping on, even though you didn't have to say too much.
Okay, so next we move to Ag and Rural Affairs Committee.
Our July meeting was canceled, so we meet next on August 19th.
Okay, thank you. Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission.
Next meeting is August 6th.
Okay, thank you. EMS Commission.
I was unable to attend that one, but since I was not at the last city council meeting to give updates on the previous one, just an update that we did purchase an on-site oxygen production machine, which is super cool. So we can save a ton of money on oxygen that we need, which, as you can imagine, is very important. We've also been reviewing the 2026 budget. We've also talked about rapid response vehicles and did some finance transfer funds housekeeping items.
Thank you. Healthy Neighborhood Committee. Donald, we need to postpone. Does he know that?
Say it again.
No, do you have anything to, you have a resolution that you need to postpone?
Yes, I would like to, again, postpone Resolution R-196-24, adopting and approving the City of Fitchburg Strategic Plan, which was postponed from June 10th, 2025, Common Council meeting. There were 2 motions that were made at the Healthy Neighborhoods Commission. The first one was that Objective 2A, Part B, Subset B, change the verbiage to say at least 2 municipal assets are created or updated every year for priority neighborhoods and or high density residential. And then the second motion was that the committee generally supports including the initiatives under 5.1. With reservations regarding the first initiative, the committee requests the following steps be made. 1, add a section F that it says establish a language access policy within the communications department to ensure that all public facing materials, announcements, and engagement efforts are inclusive of residents with limited English proficiency. 2, include a data measure under section F to develop a language access policy that evaluates language access needs and current translation processes with different communication tools. And that was it. And then the Community Equity Committee, given that it is an ad hoc committee, did not take any action on this resolution.
Okay, so we are postponing this until when? Adam, do you have a date? 1 month, 2 months? So until September?
September 23rd.
September 23rd, with a neighborhood plan.
It's not a neighborhood plan.
Second.
It's going to be a full night, so.
Was that motion clear? I'm sorry, because it was kind of disjointed with me starting and then Julia convening. Was everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
I think we need to look for a. Okay.
You could do October 14th.
Okay, October 14th.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of postponing the resolution of the strategic plan until October 14th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have one opposed. The motion carried. Thank you. So next we move to Housing Advisory Committee.
Our next meeting is August 11th.
Thank you. Landmark Preservation Commission.
No report.
No report. 3 Advisory Committee.
Yes, the Urban Forest Management Plan Survey is open until August 15th. Should take about 10 minutes, so I encourage everyone to please go out and take it. I know there can be survey fatigue, but we really do appreciate people filling out these surveys. It really does inform the plans that we create, which really do inform the decisions we make. It might not seem like it, but it really does. So if you could just please take 10 minutes and fill it out, that would be fantastic. And then it is on the website, and it is now being promoted on the city's social media and things like that. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you. And then we move to the Ad hoc Community and Equity Committee. Donald?
Yes, so we are finally, at a place to where we are ready to bring a ordinance in front of council here soon that was in consultation with the city administrator's office, the Department of Human Resources, Sarah Olson, and then also our city attorney to make sure that we are in compliance. And at the August 12th meeting, there will be a formal presentation led by myself and some other members of the CEC committee, at which time the action will be on the docket for the council to take a vote to establish this as a recognized committee in the city of Fitchburg.
Thank you. And then we move to item 9 is a standing committee reports. We're going to start with Finance Committee. Anything else to add?
Yeah, Misty shared, so CIP amendments from the council were due yesterday. They will be released next week, Friday, to the council and to the mayor, and then the following Monday, they will be released to the public. Budget worksheets were due today from the different department heads, so the 2026 budget planning is well underway. Also an update on the water utility simplified rate case that we applied for. It was denied because we basically applied at the wrong time. It has to be done on a calendar year basis. So we are going to file again in early 2026. It doesn't really change anything. It just prevents us from raising the rates.
So we are not going to increase the rate in October?
No.
Okay.
We're going to be fine because our water utility is well funded, but we just don't want to get behind, which is why we need to update. But we'll do that again in 2026.
Okay, thank you. Personnel Committee.
No updates at the moment.
Thank you. Public Safety and Human Services.
So I move approval of operator license needing special attention for Donna Simmons.
Second.
So we reviewed this application. Donna works at Kelly's Market up Fish Hatchery Road, and she had an operator's license before. She's had an OWI. She has gone through the assessment, and we deemed that she should regain her license.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the operator license for Donna Simon, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so we don't have anything for unfinished business? No? Okay. So then we move to new business. And we have a couple of direct referral because, we didn't have a meeting in the first, on July 9. So I want to make clear that. Okay, so who is doing the first one?
I'll move it.
Okay. It's public work.
Yeah.
Move approval resolution R12425, approving final relocation order for construction of the Cyene Interceptor Phase 1 extension.
Second.
Phase 2 extension, I'm sorry, bad eyes.
Second.
Okay, did public work approve?
I believe we did.
Oh, we don't have anything here. Look. Okay. Did you go to finance, is it?
No.
Okay. Okay. What is this?
I'll let Tim speak to this.
So the capital improvement plan includes design and construction of the Cyene Interceptor, a phase 2 extension, and this is the relocation order through the property to the west of the Uptown Hills development. So this was originally part of Resolution R23-25, which was awarding the design services of the Interceptor extension to Veerbecker. And then subsequent to that resolution, we brought forward Resolution R-4725, which authorized the design team to prepare the relocation order. So this is the relocation order that was prepared as part of the project, and basically looking for authorization from council for the mayor to sign this order.
Okay, any question, comment? Okay, all those in favor of resolution R-124-25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Next one is finance.
I'll move approval of resolution R12525, approving renewal of antivirus software.
Second.
Finance approved. This is a 3-year contract which locks in our price. This is what the service we've been using for a while, but it's just a needed requirement for any workplace.
Any question, comment? All those in favor of resolution R-125-25, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one.
I'll move approval of resolution R12725, approving the contract with Haugen Excavating and Septic LLC for raising and removal of 9 vacant mobile home units at 2151 County Highway MM pursuant to a raise order.
Did Finance Committee approve?
I need a second.
Second.
Oh,
Finance approved.
okay. Okay. So who is going to explain that? You or Chad?
Chad, do you want to take it?
Unless you really would like to.
I mean, I can do my summary, but I trust you.
And I would trust you to do your summary as well. So, the city building inspector, John Crook, prior to his retirement in early June, back in late May, he issued a raise order to the property owner at 2151 County Highway MM, which is the Country View Mobile Home Park. As the Common Council knows, city staff, as well as its partners at Public Health, MDC, and the Wisconsin DNR have been engaged quite extensively over the last 14 or 15 months with attempts to work with the property owner to improve the conditions at that particular location. The building inspector has determined that 9 of the units there are uninhabitable and therefore issued that raise order with a compliance date of June 27th of this year. As part of that raise order, the building or property owner had the ability to raise the units, which means tear them down, or could also take the option to remove the units, or further, they could have appealed that raise order to the Dane County Circuit Court. The property owner has elected to do neither of those three things, and in fact did not engage in any meaningful conversation with the city in regards to the raise order that had been issued. As a result of that, it is city staff desire in order to continue to seek ways to improve the health, safety, and overall appearance of the mobile home park, to go ahead and raise those units utilizing the services of the company listed. Our building inspection department sought quotes from a number of different businesses that were capable of conducting this work, and ultimately has recommended Haugen Excavating and Septic to proceed with this work. I do recognize that there are a number of things that the city would rather spend nearly $75,000 on. City staff does not take this expenditure lightly. However, we do feel that it is the city's role in doing all that it can reasonably expected to do to improve the health, safety, and overall security and appearance of the mobile home park. We do intend to add this cost to the property tax rolls, so there is a possibility that the city could ultimately recoup all or some of that cost. However, I don't want to give any sort of sense that that is likely based on the current information that the property is 4 years delinquent in property taxes right now. So that is currently where we're at, and obviously there's an agenda item following, which will provide further update and conversation with ideally some direction being provided to Common Council. But for the purposes of this particular item, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any question, comment? Nicole?
So do we ask in public session about repercussions to said landowner who has not paid taxes for 4 years and is now asking us to spend city funds on this?
So the property owner is not asking us to spend any funds. They just have not responded to the raise order, which has left the city with basically two options: do nothing and let the raise order not be followed through, which does not set a very good precedent if the city's issuing orders that it's not willing to follow through on. Or obviously follow through on those orders. So ultimately, the property tax situation is handled by the Dane County Treasurer's Office. City staff, myself, and City Attorney Valerie Zisman have had conversations with Dane County Corporation Council about the situation and issues we see at the mobile home park, and have requested assistance from Dane County with helping us resolve this from a variety of different avenues, including perhaps assistance with some enforcement of the delinquent tax collections. And unfortunately, to this point, we have not seen any level of enforcement, at least this year, related to the enforcement of the delinquent taxes.
Just to add to that, just so everybody knows, I think city staff has invested quite a bit of time in working with neighbors. The listening session, which was graciously translated by our own mayor, was filled with people of this neighborhood who were incredibly grateful that we were there trying to help them. Some of the nicest neighbors that I've had the pleasure of meeting in District 4. And I would really like, I guess, just kind of voicing some frustration with Dane County. I would really like some action on this. It seems really unfair. Like, I have to pay my taxes every year. And so does everybody else in this building. And I don't understand why this landowner is allowed to not pay his taxes and let that impact the health of constituents. And so I do plan to reach out to Randy Udell, who is our Dane County rep, my Dane County rep at least, to ask for some action and some actual teeth and enforcement behind this, because I find it incredibly inappropriate and irresponsible. On the flip side, I just really want to highlight and praise our city staff, because I do find that the response to this has been incredibly caring and very much in the essence of what Fitchburg neighbors should be. And so I just want to appreciate everybody who's been involved and say thank you, and appreciate the neighbors who actually had quite a lovely community when we went to go visit them. It was a crappy situation with a nice group of people. So thank you to staff who've been working on this, because it's been over a year.
Chad, can you add also, because I know we have our own discussion about that. I am very concerned about spending $75,000, because I think we are enabling the owner of the park. And at one point, the city will have to make a decision, because we cannot continue doing this and expect different result, because you guys are spending a lot of time. My concern is the safety and the health of the neighbors living there, because can you tell us what are the latest things that they are selling some of the unit or reselling? That is our concern too.
Yeah, if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'll cover that under item 4 right after this, because we have that item or that topic specifically agended as well. So I'll do it then.
Okay, Gabriel.
I'm just curious, will the residents be notified prior to the raising? I assume that would be pretty disruptive to their day-to-day lives.
So we had a meeting with them in mid-May and advised them that raise orders had been issued. So they are aware that this activity would occur. They just didn't necessarily know when. We certainly can advise them of the fact that the Common Council has approved or authorized the raising of those 9 units and provide an estimate as to when that will occur. And then if there are any other notable information that comes out of the forthcoming conversation under item agenda 4, we could also share that update as well.
Great, thank you.
Dave, and then Bill, do you have it? Okay, Dave and Bill.
Yeah, you know where this is going. I think we all know this is the county coming in possession of this property, and that's the end game, and the county's not going to be able to maintain these homes. The end game is to find other places for these people to live, and then eventually have the county take the property because he hasn't been paying his taxes. I don't see any other way this is going to end, unfortunately, and I feel terrible for those residents, but I think that's the situation. That's the path this is going down.
Bill?
Yeah, after the units are removed, what's the final state? Is that going to be like a gravel pad, or what is that?
Some of them are on cement slabs, some are just on ground with supports. So I'm not a building inspector, but what I understand is once the units are removed, basically the grade remains, and then the septic line and the water line are capped at those particular unit sites. There was, I think, 7 units that were removed 3 years ago. So it would be a finished product similar to what was done with those 7 units.
Any other question, comment?
How many units will be left?
Approximately 25.
Okay, thank you.
And the rest of the units are vacant? There are some of them 25 vacant, or they are all occupied?
I believe that they are all occupied by owners other than the mobile home park property owner.
Any other question, comments? I know this is painful. It's a painful decision, but I hope we are going to recuperate some of the money eventually.
Well, when they sell the property, eventually, I guess. Yeah, whatever it's worth.
Because we already raised some of the other property. I remember a couple of years ago, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I forget what it was.
And we've maintained.
So ultimately, through that process, during the court proceeding or in advance of that court proceeding, I see Valerie unmuted and she can clarify if I'm incorrect, is that ultimately the property owner's mother stepped in and paid for the removal of those units. So the city did not pay for those units to be removed, although obviously we had issued the raise orders on those.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know, are you ready to vote this? Or
Yep.
I will do roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Alder Dancer Jr.
Aye.
Alder Gerhart.
Aye.
Alder Herps.
Aye.
Alder Jetzer.
Aye.
Alder Lattice.
Aye.
Alder Maldonado.
Aye.
Alder Reichstad.
Aye.
Alder Vafadari.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next, la discussion. Okay, go ahead.
So I'll try to briefly summarize what has happened at the mobile home park for those who are listening, but also more importantly for the Common Council since the chronic nuisance declaration in December of last year. But ultimately, city staff, Public Health Madison-Dane County, and the Wisconsin DNR have been working to try to improve conditions at the property since late May of 2024. If you recall, there was a power outage that resulted in a water system failure, which required a boil water notice to be issued by by the DNR. It ultimately took over 4 months for the property owner to ultimately get the property's water system in compliance with that boil water advisory and violation notice that had been issued by the DNR. Additionally, there was a septic system overflow that had occurred, I think, in early June of last year. That septic system overflow spilled over into adjacent property and required some cleanup. There's been a number of septic system related problems at the property and at specific units. The water system has had significant pressure issues. City staff received some initial compliance with its efforts during the early stages of the process. A property manager was brought in who helped coordinate some improvements in the property, but ultimately those were relatively low-hanging fruit and were largely cosmetic. And the biggest concerns that city staff remain are the water system and its ability to provide the appropriate pressure, as well as safe water, and obviously that the septic system continues to periodically fail. After the chronic nuisance declaration in December, within a month, actually I think within a matter of days, there was at least one, if not two, septic system failures again that required city and or public health Madison-Dane County intervention. The property manager has left the property several months ago. The mobile home park continues to be unlicensed by both the county and now, as of June 30th, they're licensed with the city. They are not licensed and have not been for quite some time. They are aware of their requirements of what they need to do, but have elected not to do them. And as of June 30th, their county license has also expired. And to date, there hasn't been any movement for the property owner to resolve their issues with Dane County. They also have at least one outstanding violation notice with Public Health Madison-Dane County. The septic system, as I mentioned, continues to be problematic. It's only a matter of time before that fails. As of approximately 2 to 2.5 months ago, a new boil water advisory was issued by the DNR, which now equates to approximately 6 or 7 months out of the last 14 months in which the park has been under a boil water advisory. City staff met with residents back in May for the second time to provide them with an update of what was happening at the park and efforts that the city was continuing to take to try to improve the conditions there. We also had representatives from the Dane County Human Services and the Tenant Resource Center present who were available to offer assistance and resources to residents of the mobile home park who might be looking to relocate. And I've also recently been informed that at least 2 of the units have now been sold to what we believe to be unsuspecting buyers as to what the current conditions are in the park. All of these things are leading me to consider and have a conversation with city staff about a month or so ago, and then follow-up conversation with Mayor Arata Frada to ultimately bring this to the Common Council to really assess what the city continues to do with this property. We've been working for over 14 months to try to improve the conditions. That's involved initially weekly meetings with Public Health Madison and DNR, which is now gone to bi-weekly meetings or every other week, however you want to look at that. We've spent a considerable amount of time, staff time there every week, assessing the current situation. Citations have been issued weekly since June of last year to the property owner, with, again, little success that we can point to other than largely cosmetic improvements. So as I have assessed the situation, I see that we have basically three options, and perhaps someone on Common Council would identify a fourth option, and if so, I'm certainly interested in hearing that. The first option is to continue doing what we're doing, yet expect different results. I'm not sure that that is a viable option, and I certainly can attest that staff does not have the continued capacity to go down that path. The second option is to walk away and, cease our involvement there, and I don't see that as a viable option either. That's not fair to the residents there, and it's not fair to our community, as I see our duty as a city to ensure that we do all that we reasonably can be expected to do to ensure that a safe and healthy environment is created for our residents. The third option, while not necessarily ideal, more than likely, and in full disclosure, is potentially likely to lead to resident displacement, is to seek authorization from the Common Council to look at what our future enforcement and or legal actions may be with this particular property. We are literally, a moment's notice away from a full septic system and or water system failure at that property. We've been fortunate that they are continuing to function, but the city staff, grows increasingly concerned as the days and weeks go on with little maintenance, and now obviously the lack of an on-site manager who would be there to check the systems regularly. And our largest concern is that at a moment's notice, when one of these or both of these systems fail, is we're going to be forced on, again, short notice to go down and have difficult conversations with residents to vacate the park with little time for them to prepare. Now, obviously, at our most recent meeting in May, we advised them that this is a very real possibility and that ideally they are making plans for alternate arrangements if we were to have that situation arise. But based on feedback from Dane County Human Services, we don't believe that any or a significant number of the residents are even considering utilization of any of the resources that Dane County or the Tenant Resource Center was available to discuss with them back in May. So that brings us obviously significant concern there, and the only way to ensure safety with reduction of the possibility of a septic system overflow is to remove the inputs, right? We just don't need any more material going into the septic system in order to best mitigate that risk. And then, of course, if the water system fails, we don't want residents potentially having to drink contaminated water. I will say that currently, the property has a certified water operator under contract who is submitting the regular required tests to DNR, and the water is testing safe. However, the property owner is not taking the rather straightforward steps that are needed and not complicated steps that are needed in order to have the boil water advisory lifted. I will also say that the certified water operator stepped away briefly earlier this year due to non-payment for their services. So again, that continues to be a concern that if services are not paid for, that we won't have any verification coming on a regular basis that the water is in fact safe to drink. Well, I'll defer to Valerie as to what our potential enforcement and/or legal actions may be. One of those could be is to seek an injunction through Dane County Circuit Court that would effectively authorize or order the closure of the park. Again, that is not necessarily the preferred option. It never has been. We have always been committed to ensuring that this is an affordable housing option, and that ultimately, ideally, it will remain an affordable housing option for our residents. We have demonstrated, I believe, and I hope that our Common Council would agree, as staff, that we have always taken a very conservative approach and always had the best interests of our residents there in mind as we have walked down this path for the last 14 months. But we have reached that proverbial crossroads where we need to look at how we proceed. And I think it's important for us as staff to have the council's support to move forward with exploration of other options at that particular mobile home park. And I'll stop there and offer Valerie an opportunity to provide her comments. And then, of course, we can take questions.
Thank you, Chad. And that was an extensive and thorough review, albeit not all-inclusive, because if we were to be all-inclusive, we would be here for several hours. I did want to add one small update, and I'm not sure, Chad, if you're aware of this, because I just learned about it late this afternoon, but apparently the mobile home park owner is not paying the garbage contractor anymore, and so the dumpsters are full and overflowing. I learned that from Gabe this afternoon. So you can add that to the list of kind of ongoing concerns. My understanding is that may have happened once before or was close to happening, as I'd received some messages indicating that there may be issues with the mobile home park owner paying those bills in the past. So as Chad outlined, that there are ongoing issues at this park. These issues certainly are concerning, and at times concerning enough that I think they would certainly warrant asking a circuit court order to issue an injunction. I say at times because during times when the sewage is not overflowing and there is not a boil water advisory and we're kind of squeaking by, I don't know that a court would be very likely to do that. But there have been situations in the past in the last 14 months when there was significant overflow of sewage to the point where it was leaking down, to grade and down the road, and that happened more than once. To date, the city has taken the approach of trying to assist the residents the best that we could, up to and including pumping those tanks. But I think that the question as Chad is posing is, what do we do moving forward? I don't know that it was the wrong choice to pump those tanks at the time that choice was made. But if we continue doing that, in effect, we're enabling the ongoing conditions at the park. The city doesn't have the resources, nor would it really probably be appropriate use of public funds to come in and put in the types of improvements on this private property that this property would need in order to bring it into, in effect, in order to address the deferred maintenance. And it's not my area of expertise, but in speaking with public health, Madison, Dane County, we're talking in the hundreds of thousands and not a couple in terms of coming in and replacing all of the laterals and addressing some other concerns. That's a substantial capital improvement that the mobile home park owner probably ought to have taken by now, or should have considered doing, or have significant plans to do. It does not appear to be the case that it's moving in that direction. As you may recall from those of you who were on the council last winter, the lateral connections, again, not my area of expertise, but based on what I understand, the lateral connections are made out of essentially a special coated pressed cardboard or something like that. And so it is not surprising that they continue to fail. It is expected, and they're expected to continue to fail. And really, in effect, what the property owner has done, as I understand it, is Band-Aid solutions to a problem that's only getting bigger. So all of that is to say, what I think staff need to know is kind of where do we go from here? One of the options that the city would have if the council were to authorize it is to go to circuit court and under chapter 823 under the state statutes nuisance chapter ask for a circuit court order ordering that the property owner abate the nuisance in effect. Now, of course, that would depend on what the nuisance at that moment was, but for example, in the case of overflowing sewage and ongoing issues, it would be to abate that particular issue. If the mobile home park owner did not do that, then I think the next step would be to ask the circuit court order to shut down the park, because in effect, that would be the only other measure of getting that nuisance abated if we're talking about sewage in particular, right? Because ultimately sewage is what's leaking out of those pipes, and the only way to prevent that other than fixing the infrastructure is to stop the sewage from, or the material from going into the sewers in the first place. So as Chad mentioned, it's not something that I think anyone's excited about given the potential for the displacement of residents. On the other hand, the conditions of the park, I think, speak for themselves. And certainly begs the question of whether, folks should really be living in those conditions, especially as the boil water advisory continues and depending on what overflows next and to what extent. So I think as we sit like today, right now, I don't know that I would necessarily have a ton of confidence in an order being granted, because right now there isn't overflowing sewage, although just on the boil water advisory alone, I think a judge certainly wouldn't be pleased with that being out there. But again, and I say when, not if, because of our prior experience with the park and what we know about the infrastructure there, when the sewer continues to fail, and depending on the scope of that failure, I think we're kind of running out of options of what else we can do, quite frankly, because we've tried the other options, and working with a park owner has not gotten us very far. So that's what I'd add.
I'll just add a couple more points and then we'll open up for discussion. I will remind the council that the property owner lives out of state and that they did not appear at the chronic nuisance abatement hearing. Their on-site manager appeared with legal counsel at that hearing. As I mentioned, that on-site manager has left the property months ago, and legal counsel ceased representation within the week of that hearing. One or two other points. Ultimately, if the Common Council does authorize us to pursue available legal options, including an injunction, I do want to be clear that that would likely involve additional cost. We would need to hire additional legal counsel to assist with that process, who has expertise in that realm, and also due to the capacity of our current city attorney. And then finally, I would want to add that if we elect to explore other options, we will certainly do our best to ensure communication and outreach efforts with the residents of the mobile home park to let them know what the city is up to, and any sorts of relevant information relating to timelines and so forth that we could provide. We would also look to ensure that there were additional opportunities for residents to connect with Dane County Human Services to explore the resources and options that they have available to them. And again, I do want to reiterate that the city has never gone in with the goal of closing this mobile home park and displacing residents. We are simply out of options to move forward with trying to improve the conditions here and ultimately have it remain as an affordable housing location.
Okay, so we are open to question.
Yes, I could speak for the floor, neighbor.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, you will need to fill out the form, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you have to say your name and introduce yourself. So.
I'm Bob Degner, a neighbor next door to the park, and gotten to know them. Many of them are my friends. And I want to say, when we first bought the property that we live in now, 6-7 years ago,
one of the things we were concerned about living next to a trailer park, and is that a good place? And when we talked to Fitchburg, Madison Police Departments, they said this is one of the safest places in the county. And to be sure, these people are good, law-abiding citizens, many of them poor. Most of those who are of age have paying jobs. Those who are retired, living on Social Security, are barely scraping by. At the last meeting that you alluded to, when you gave information to the residents, I think that they were quite concerned as they left that meeting that the final option might be to close the park and they would have to leave. And they dread that. They want to stay. They are friends, neighbors, they have get-togethers, parties. And since that last meeting, I thought they would give up hope and maybe quit trying. But just the opposite happened. They said, we want to keep the park open. We want to live here. They began to mow the grass regularly and take over the duties that the manager and the owner should have done. Minor repairs, clogged sewers, things like that. They are doing that on a volunteer basis. And they actually use push mowers sometimes to mow the large septic mound and a play lot on the property. So and if you'll notice, the park doesn't look, oh yes, they're planting shrubbery, trees along Burn Road, maybe you've noticed that, sodding in grass. And so they hope that folks will take notice and take every possible measure to keep the place open so that they can continue to live there. Now, everyone appreciates the work that the city has done beyond what a person would have a right to expect. I do think that, I'm a complete amateur at this, but I think that the septic mound itself, which is probably the most expensive, one of the most expensive things, is in wonderful shape. It works well. And also, I think the well is in good shape, which are what we need. The problems are pumps and lines, sewage and water lines. And those will be expensive to replace. But could possibly a fourth option would be when it comes to the park can no longer be kept up with the city subsidizing things. Everybody realizes that, and it will go down if nobody does anything. But could it be that by eminent domain or some type of city or county could take over the park, maybe put it up for sale, having interviewed people who have a heart for folks? I think that the park could be made viable. There's room for 40-some trailers on there. There are 20-some now, and some of those probably wouldn't make it. But putting in 20 trailers would bring in a nice income, and some kind folk who could afford it could make a profit if they did. If he also would kind of grandfather the current rent of the present owners. I don't know if that's an option or not. But I hope that you could possibly pursue it as you consider what your options are. Enough said.
Thank you. Okay, I am open this to Common Council. Questions, comments? Okay, Bill. Mike, okay.
Okay, I guess I'm wondering about this, like the scale of what it would take to rehabilitate this, and is there any thought, has any thought been given to using some of our affordable housing fund to assist with some of these repairs?
So, yes, some thought has been given to the scale of what it would require to fix this, to at least when we're looking at the water and septic systems. I'm not well versed in the cost of this. There's a now retired employee of public health, Madison-Dane County, who provided a ballpark figure of near $1 million to potentially resolve the issues with the water system and septic system. And the mayor and I have had conversations about potentially utilizing the Affordable Housing Fund to make improvements here. But I think where we are currently at is we have a non-responsive owner who I don't understand why the city would entertain subsidizing any sorts of improvements there with a non-responsive owner and not expect anything to change. We have had people approach both the city and the current park owner about purchasing it over the last several years, and he has been either non-responsive or refused to either even engage in a conversation about selling it. So that doesn't appear to be an option. I think if there is a new buyer that would be able to come in, after the city has had a chance to vet that potential buyer and what their plans are for the park, we are committed to work with them to bring the park into a conforming legal zoning status. It currently is a non-conforming zoning there I think it's technically non-conforming legal. Valerie, do I have that right?
Legal non-conforming.
There you go, legal non-conforming.
Also known as grandfathered in.
Thank you. So I think, ultimately, if there's a new owner who's got a good plan, I think then it's worth a conversation about utilizing Affordable Housing Fund money to help with the improvements.
Micah.
Am I right in assuming that if we go get an injunction from the circuit court or Dane County takes action on the tax delinquency, we get them to do that functionally for the residents, the outcome is going to be the same?
More than likely, yes, although I can't speak for Dane County. But in the preliminary conversations that we have had with them, it is my understanding that it would be more than likely that if Dane County assumed ownership through foreclosure, that they do not intend to operate a mobile home park as a landlord and would therefore either be required by ordinance or statute or otherwise by policy would effectively close the park and then ultimately offer it for sale.
Okay. And with the zoning legal non-conforming, that basically is just saying that it can only be a mobile home park, correct? If it was sold to someone, it can't be anything else, or if it's shut down, it can't be then.
So go ahead, Valerie. I'll let you comment on that one.
Yeah, so the latter, not the former. So it's not the ownership, it's continued use.
So the main issue.
So when the use is discontinued, they lose that privilege. But again, I think if I could just add a little bit of history back in, I want to say 2017, when this park was sold, the prior owner, or rather the representative for the estate of the prior owner after that owner died, had some questions about the zoning, and at that point the zoning director had articulated that legal non-conforming determination, but also that the city was willing to work with the park owner. That same message was articulated to the current property owner on several occasions, I shouldn't say personally, mostly through counsel, but through multiple various attorneys that have represented him in the past. That message was sent along that the city would work with the property owner if they wished to do something, but they needed to come forward with a plan. As you might imagine, that never.
Right. And then I know, Chad, you already mentioned this, and I really appreciate that. Just that if we take action to authorize staff to start looking towards this, that I know at that last meeting in May, we were very clear to the residents that as a city, we were in no way looking to kick anyone out of their home. And I just want to make sure that we are out front in the communication with them, that if this is going to happen, that we are doing it well in advance and make sure we're communicating with them. And then you're the place we had the meeting, right? Your home. I just want to say thank you for the generosity you've had towards the residents of the park and the community in general. I mean, it's just what you set up here. We bought this house. We weren't sure about moving in next to a mobile home park, and now they're some of our closest friends. It's very heartwarming, and I really appreciate everything you've done for that community. So I just want to say thank you.
Okay, I have Donald.
I was just gonna ask, I guess, with some of the concerns that we have, like especially around like the quality of water and those type of things, like I know we aren't looking to displace anyone, but like if the park closes, I'm assuming that means like these individuals who live on that residence have to go elsewhere. Are there any type of, I guess, subsidies that could be provided for folks to like go somewhere else? Should that happen, or is that not even an option to explore because we don't have the available authority or funds to do so?
So if that were to happen, we would work with Dane County Human Services. It's my understanding that in kind of an, I don't know what, unfortunate way, people have to be unhoused in many situations to utilize those short-term options that may be available to them. So in that situation, if the park was forced to close because of a water system or septic system failure, particularly on short notice, effectively those residents would become unhoused and would potentially qualify for some of those resources that might be available through Dane County Human Services. Again, if we were to, be authorized to continue to explore options, we would want to, again, be very open and upfront with our residents there, and again, ensure that there is opportunity for them to connect with Dane County Human Services, ideally before there would be one of those short-term or short notice closures due to a system failure.
Gotcha. And can I just ask one follow-up question, Chad?
Sure.
When we say like this place has like a boil water advisory, is that only if they're like drinking the water, it has to be boiled first, or would it even mean like using it to clean yourself or whatever, that it has to be boiled before they can use it? Because I would consider that like pretty significant. So like how long does something like that need to be happening? Because I could see just even a few days or a couple weeks of having a function in that way could be a significant issue for folks. So like what constitutes as, I guess, a long time or an emergency to where like action needs to be taken on that immediately?
It would be my understanding, and I'm not well versed in the DNR code as it relates to what constitutes a boil water notice and or what is recommended, but it would be my understanding that cooking or consuming the water would be where the boil water notice would be necessary, and that depending on the situation, I don't think it would be necessarily a concern from a bathing standpoint. Again, I will reiterate that right now they do have a certified water operator on retainer who is completing the required monthly testing and submitting that to the DNR, which does indicate safe water. But again, that person has also stepped away at one other point this year due to non-payment. So that's kind of a month-to-month situation, it seems.
Thank you.
I just had a quick comment and a quick question. I guess starting with the question, are we able to use any affordable housing funds to cover temporary costs of living if these folks would be displaced, or is that a pure county?
I don't know the answer to that, but we can look into that.
Okay. I would be super interested in that. And then I just wanted to, not to single anybody out, but to echo Micah's point. I would be incredibly happy to have either of you as my neighbors, and I'm just incredibly encouraged at how tight-knit this community is, and I'm really hoping that we can do something for these constituents, because it's just kind of sad. But yeah, I would be super interested to hear about that.
Any other? Because we need to tell staff what to do. Okay, so I think in my conversation with Chad, this is a very difficult decision that we need to make, but we cannot continue doing what we are doing, expecting that something is going to change, because we are enabling the owner. And the owner is a very difficult person to deal. It seems like he doesn't care about the people living there. And my concern is the health of those neighbors. What is going to happen if the septic system breaks again in 1 or 2 months or next week? How much it costs to the city every time? Because last time we had to pay for that. And the question is, for how long we're going to continue doing this? I think, and it seems like I have a conversation with Dane County too, and to be honest, I think we have to make the decision. Dane County is not going to help us to make the decision. You know what I mean? And the question is, what are the other solutions there? Like, I don't know, option 4. I don't know if the city can do that. This is for Valerie, but I think this is we need to make a decision, a call. If we want to do some changes here. Otherwise, the question is now with the garbage, because if he doesn't pay the garbage is going to accumulate. And it happened a couple of months, a month ago it happened. We have an issue with the garbage. Then he paid the bills. But I don't know how long those garbage is accumulating there. It's summer. It's going to be hitting, tomorrow and Thursday is going to be, I don't know how hot it's going to be. And you can imagine the garbage there accumulating. So, I don't know. Dave.
I'm incredibly sympathetic to those people. But I think our least cost option, you look at what our staff is, like our inspection, you call them, well, we're down there all the time. It's affecting, it's not necessarily fair to other residents. Our least cost option, I feel, is to find a different place for these people to live and close this place down, unfortunately. I think that's the least cost option. I don't see this as viable moving forward. You say someone, I don't know, maybe there's a nonprofit that would buy it, but I kind of doubt that. And then if someone gets sick from the water, well, yes, then they're then they're coming after us, even though I don't think we're culpable, but you know how that goes. So I'm just looking at the least cost option for the city, and I think getting those residents a better place or a different place to live is in their long-term best interest. I know it's not easy, and it's easy for me to say that. It's not my house that I'm getting kicked out of, but we have to look at what's fair to the taxpayers in Fitchburg too, that are subsidizing this too.
Logan and then Mike.
I have a couple quick questions, hopefully, for Chad. I guess, first of all, do we know if the residents are paying any sort of lot rent or fees, or if some or all of them have said, if we're already doing all this work and living in these conditions that are unsatisfactory to, say, the absolute least, have they gone on like a rent strike or anything like that? Do we know? I'm just genuinely curious if the owner, if we have a sense if the owner is able to pay and receiving income that could be going to solve the problem and is electing not to, or if the owner is not receiving any financial income and therefore could argue that they do not have the means to make the improvements that are necessary.
It's my understanding that most, if not all, of the residents have not been paying any rent for several years. We had been contacted a few years back from some residents who had indicated that they had attempted to pay rent and that their checks weren't even being cashed.
Okay. And then I guess, I don't know if this is a Valerie question. Honestly, I don't know if this is a question that I even want to get an answer to in an open forum, and perhaps maybe it's a closed session at another date. Given the significant legal history with this individual, do we think that if we were to come forward with an order to shut down the park, that would be, and we get Dane County, which, again, perfect world here. Dane County's involved, PHMDC, everybody's on the same page, throwing everything we have at, to close this down. Do we think that would get the owner to show up to court and answer for any of this? Or do we think that it would just be, a fool's errand, and no matter what we do, we should assume that the owner will be non-responsive at best and an obstacle at worst.
I would have to speculate as to what the odds are. I hesitate to give an answer. Instead, let me just tell you that Mr. Reeves has appeared at a few things in the past. When the city back in 2020 or 2021, I'm trying to remember when we were actually ended up in court on that. I want to say it was in 2020. When we were finally in court on the first round of raise orders, he did appear by Zoom at a few of the proceedings. Since that time, based on some emails that I had the misfortune of being included on between the property owner and one of his residents, one of the residents that lives at the park had filed a personal injury suit against the property owner. The result of that, based primarily on the reading of the court record as well as some of those emails that I was included on, is that the property owner in effect had a default judgment entered against them for in effect not appearing. That judgment was to the tune of approximately, off the top of my head, about $220,000. He did not appear at that proceeding. I understand there's another case against him recently where there's a lot of money at stake, and while I think he appeared by Zoom to a proceeding, he did not actually file a legal answer, like what's called an answer to a legal proceeding, and so there is a default judgment entered as well. So that's a long way of saying I don't know, but I think the odds, it wouldn't surprise me if he did not appear. It also wouldn't surprise me if he did. I don't. It would surprise me if he appeared and was particularly helpful or willing to finally come to the table and work with the city and the residents. That would surprise me. That would be a very pleasant surprise. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it does, and I think it's what we should expect. I guess one other thought, Chad, is there a number, do we know, of units of the roughly 25, if we were to say 10 could survive long-term based on the current septic, if the issue is there's the number of homes here is too great for the current septic because of the poor condition, that if we have to displace people, we can minimize that number and maybe allow half to stay without fear of regular boil water notices or septic backups or things of that nature.
To answer your question, I don't believe that would be possible for a couple of reasons. One, it would be an incredibly difficult task for the city to go in and I guess, how do we decide which half stays and which half leaves? And I don't think that the city would want to be in that predicament. And we know that the infrastructure ultimately needs to be replaced in order for it to be suitable for anyone to live there. So I think, in effect, we would still be dealing with the same issues, just on a smaller scale. And I'll give an example of when the city has intervened with the septic system failures and gone in and pumped those tanks. It's required pumping about every 3 days with the current occupants of 25 units. So in effect, if we were to have another septic system issue with half the units in there or half the residents, we would get 6 days probably before we would have to pump it. So it's really not going to be overly beneficial, unfortunately.
Madam Mayor, if I may, if it's okay to jump in, I would love to kind of weigh forward that I very much agree with Dave that although I hate to suggest any action that would displace anybody, when we were in that first listening session, there was a cute, chubby-legged little baby there. There was like a toddler there. I hate the idea of having anything to do with that, and I would probably eat my own hat if this owner does anything responsible or responds in any positive way. I think it's unfair for the constituents who live here. I think it's unfair for the rest of our taxpayers who pay their taxes on time to watch this person abuse the constituents who live there. And so I would really love to understand, again, how we can use an affordable housing budget. I really hope Dane County steps up and partners with us in a much bigger budget to try and find places for these folks to live and find new homes. I would love to start, maybe we can start a GoFundMe page, I don't know, just committing us to all these things. But I don't think the city continually going over there every 3 days to tap this thing. I think you were like turning it at one point, like that's not a good use of time. So I don't know if an official motion is required, but I would love to understand, if anyone on city council feels differently, but unfortunately, I think we have to take action and next steps on shutting this down as a mobile home park in defense of the people who live there.
Valerie, this might be a question for you. We go in front of the circuit court, we get an injunction. Is it kind of an all or nothing step? We are where we are now, then we get the injunction, the thing shuts down. I guess there have been comments that over the years, people have expressed interest in buying this park, and he has basically just been non-responsive to that. Is there a preliminary step that basically says you have an option to sell this park or you will be shut down in 90 days or whatever? Is that something that exists in the law?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't have firsthand experience with this, but I think there may be some avenues for a court to do that, potentially through, I think, through a receivership. That if a receiver were to be appointed, they would basically be granted a set of authorities, and I believe it's possible for the court to grant the authority to sell, although maybe that's not the case. But to kind of come back to your original question of if we go to court, is it all or nothing? No, I think if we go to court, we're asking, in fact, we're saying, look, judge, there's this ongoing public nuisance as defined by the statutes and by Chapter 823. And so we're asking the court to help us abate the nuisance by ordering the property owner to fix the problem, right? And so in the case of, for instance, issues with the sewage system, it would be to order the property owner to do so. Certainly, I would expect that to be the first step. And I would think a court would agree to grant that. Of course, then the next question becomes is what happens after the mobile home park owner does not do that, right? So a court is, let's say hypothetically, a circuit court judge says, yes, you are hereby ordered to abate the nuisance within 30 days. 30 days go by and the nuisance is ongoing. So then what is the next step? Probably asking the court then to order the park shut, right? Because there is no, if you can't make the property owner do the fix, then the other alternative is to just not have the park operate. So I don't think it would be like we file tomorrow and then the park is shut down the next day. But the reason we wanted to get council input, and I want to be clear, today this is just a discussion. There's really no kind of marching orders of this is what you do next tomorrow, but more just for staff to have an idea of where are we heading next. If the council is inclined to support that decision, then in the event that something happens that would warrant us to make that next step, that would be the step, is filing an action in circuit court. And I can't do that on behalf of the city without the council authorizing me to do that. I can, talk about the possibility of doing it, but ultimately the council has to say, yes, city attorney, go ahead and file a circuit court action.
Thank you.
Okay, who else? Logan? Okay. And then we need to, I want to give 5 more minutes, and then we are going to decide what to do.
I just wanted to say that based on the what Valerie just said, I think that if that's an option, looking into moving toward a receivership or something, I think that sounds like the best option to explore, that at least would keep the door open to some sort of resolution where folks can stay. I mean, every day is a roll of the dice. So I don't know if Dane County is being less than our friend on this one. I don't know if there's anything we can do as far as talking to our other large landlords in the city. I know, for example, several new apartment buildings just opened up. One of them's at 50% capacity right now. And I don't know if we can have some sort of conversations with them that say, if all heck breaks loose and these folks have nowhere to go, would you give them, could they stay in some of these vacant units for a month at low cost, no cost, I don't know if we can, contribute that or not. I think, it would be an entirely just, based entirely on goodwill and a strong gesture that we would have no way of enforcing. But I think it would be, I think, worth asking the Avantes and the inventors and the folks who are making significant financial, gains from our city, if they'd even be willing, out of the goodness of their hearts and nothing else, to entertain even a short-term emergency, if they have room only type situation that would at least provide some sort of certainty that no one would be on the street for 30 days or something. And I don't know the legal aspects. I don't know any of that. I'm throwing it out here as kind of a Hail Mary because it seems like that's where we are in this case.
Okay, Gabriel.
I'll say two things. First, it sounds like, based on what my notes say, Chad said the first step, if we're going to take it to court, would be to have the court get an order to abate the nuisance. So that's step one. And that's not shutting down the park. That would be a subsequent step if nothing happens with that. So it seems like we need to get somebody else involved because everything we've done to date has done nothing. We cannot continue to facilitate this person's negligence in perpetuity with taxpayer money. So I think we have to be prepared to go to circuit court. I understand you also said that we might wait until there's a more extreme circumstance to make it more justifiable. That would be an unfortunate thing to have to do, but I would encourage city staff to investigate whether a regular boil water advisory on what's already to date is enough justification to do that, so that we can at least move forward with that process and see if we can have that happen. But that should give more time, I think, to move on. And then my second comment is, maybe there is I feel like the more likely scenario here is there to either be a property owner to buy it, maybe through a circumstance like Micah mentioned, where we're moving forward on this, so you can sell it. You have time to sell it. But maybe also can be a call if the residents want to put a call out to nonprofits. There's a ton of nonprofits in the area that own affordable rental properties. I don't know who would do that. I'm not familiar enough with the detailed programming of these different nonprofits, but maybe if they knew that the city might be willing to invest some money, if it was a positive investment in the future of this property, affordable property, maybe there would be a nonprofit that'd be willing to step up. I mean, no, property is difficult to come by, or it's expensive to come by. Anyway, so that would give time. I don't really think that that's the city's role to try to find a nonprofit, but hopefully maybe we can get some news coverage. The residents can, I don't know. I hate to put more on the residents because they're already in a lot, but I think there has to be some action to try to get somebody else to step in because we're kind of reaching the end of the line, in my opinion.
Okay, so the other thing is if we can look, because the housing in the park qualify for affordable housing, and we have the affordable housing fund that we can maybe allocate some of that funding in the future. If someone wants to purchase this, maybe we can allocate some funding to, help that owner to improve. You know what I mean? If we want, because we can add more units. So So that one could be something that we need to explore too. Okay, so what the question is practically we are going to do option 3.
What is option 3?
Is to do an injection, isn't it?
Well, I think option 3 would allow city staff to continue to explore alternate or additional enforcement and or legal paths that would be available. That could certainly include potential injunction.
Okay, so this one is what I am moving forward with you, and I want to know how do you feel about option 3?
I think that's the way that we need to go.
Okay, what do you think? Okay.
But it's just within one thing, quick thing, as long as we are being very clear with the current residents that it's happening.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know this is a public meeting, but I'm guessing they're not watching it currently. And so just like, I just want to make sure that, excuse me, we're communicating with them, so.
Nick. Logan?
Agreed.
Dave?
I'm fine with that.
Joe and Donald?
Agree.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the time this evening and the consideration for the difficulties of this situation. And we'll certainly look to keep not only our residents there of the mobile home park, but the Common Council informed of any developments.
Thank you, Chad. So now we are in item, I don't know which number it is, 11B. We have a couple of action on claims. We have 3 claims that Valerie is going to explain what it is, and Tim. And we have some of the residents here. We have June Fries. Can you come and, to the microphone? And also we have Mary Benjamin is here. Okay. Do you want to speak? If you have a question. Okay. And then Pam Yoder. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
On April 2nd of this year, we had what turned out to be sewer backup in roughly 6 units in our community over at Remington Park. Some were various degrees where there was just a little bit of water that came into unfinished areas, and others like us who have an entire finished basement suffered significant damage. I know that one of the people that's looking to recoup stuff here is American Family, which is our insurance company. And I do not know what they're asking for, or if they're asking for to recoup our deductible that we had for this whole thing, which was $1,000. But I know that we personally had some expenses which the insurance company would not pay, and we're looking to recover those. When the plumber initially came out to investigate what was happening here, he had to break through the backflow valve to find out where the water and all this stuff was coming from. And so we eventually needed to have that repaired, and the insurance company said that they would not cover that. And because we have full carpeting in the basement, that had to be replaced. Well, we've got furniture all over the place. That has to be removed before the carpeting can be removed and then ultimately put back in place. So we're looking to recover the moving fees. So our portion that we out of pocket was $1,607.05. If you add our deductible on that, it's another $1,000. But I guess our question as a whole here is, what is the city potentially doing to alleviate this problem in the future? are they monitoring the sewer system in that area? We're right across from the memory care and the assisted living. And I don't know if that is part of the issue for what was going on or not. I don't know what it was that was blocking up the system there. But we certainly don't want to have to deal with this again.
Okay. Your insurance company is asking for $18,000 plus $1,000 deductible. So
I'm not really sure why it's $18,000. Because they paid more than that for the services that were rendered. But that's their problem, it's not mine.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mary. June. Okay, so thank you. Do you want to say something? This is your time. And I want to say, we are so sorry that you had to wait until the end of the agenda. So sorry. But because we had to do a closed session, we had to leave it at the end of the agenda. So do you want to say something additional to your claim?
Do you have the paperwork? In front of you?
Yeah, we have everything in the packet. Okay. I don't know if Valerie and Tim want to say something before we go to the closed session.
So I just wanted to explain to the council kind of how claims work. I think most of you are familiar with this, but for those who may be less familiar, when a claim is filed, this common council can either approve or deny the payment of a claim, generally with consultation from the city's insurer as well as the city attorney. In the event that the council denies the claim, the claimant or the property owner in this case, or owners, or their insurers, do become then at that point able to file an action against the city in circuit court if they wish to do so. Oftentimes, claims can result in a circuit court action, but other times, either the property owner or the insurer decides not to file a claim. So I can tell you in this case, there is a recommendation from the insurer, and I concur with that recommendation that there is no liability on the part of the city. We do have a maintenance plan in place, is my understanding, that provides routine maintenance, which we were following. And city staff didn't have any prior notice of any problem in that area prior to receiving information that there was this overflow, which then staff worked to address immediately. So from a liability standpoint, the recommendation from the insurer is for a denial. There is a closed session noticed on the agenda. If you wish to go into closed session, you can. You don't have to. Certainly you can consider making a determination based on kind of what's in front of you and that information that I provided you, specifically that there's no liability based on our kind of preliminary analysis. Under Wisconsin law, municipality doesn't have liability unless, like I said, there's a known danger, and we didn't have this knowledge here that there was a problem or a clog in the sewer. And so because of that, and because we were following our routine maintenance program, the recommendation is for a denial on all three of these claims. There are three of them. Before, you were actually technically four. There's three properties involved. One of the properties has a claim from the insurer as well as the property owner. But in effect, the claims are very similar. They resulted from the same incident, and the same rationale applies.
Okay, I have a question for Tim. Can you, do you determine what it was the cause of this?
Yes, what was the cause was the memory care facility had clogged the pipes. What we had found was the sewer main was backed up with towels. There was some bricks, roots, and rubber gloves being flushed down the toilets from the memory care facility. So the very next day, our utility maintenance supervisor went over there and discussed with their maintenance supervisor that that stuff is non-flushable, cannot be flushed down the pipes. The bricks and kind of construction material were from when the building was built, and then afterwards, once the main was cleared, buried, our maintenance supervisor went back and kind of monitored it and kind of found the disposable gloves were still being flushed, candy wrappers. He saw wipes being flushed, so he discussed with them that stuff cannot be flushed. Only toilet paper can go down the drain.
Did we issue any citation to them? Because, you know what I mean? How do we prevent them not to do this again?
Yeah, typically we prevent it just with, notifying them, whether that's written, verbal. We kind of been notifying other areas of the city. Another problems, grease can be an issue. So we've noticed grease kind of in other parts of the city and have been notifying residents. No citations typically get issued for this, just public notification.
And how often do you check our sewer system?
So the city cleans and televises a third of the system, and kind of when we televise is when we'll see issues. Jetting we'll do. I believe a third of the system, and obviously as problems pop up, we'll address them. So like for this instance, we received a call through dispatch and sent our vac truck out there to go clean the line. So certain segments, even though you do clean and jet a third of the system annually, certain areas can pop up just due to stuff being flushed down toilets that shouldn't be.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question for Tim before we go to a closed session? Do you want to go to a closed session? Okay.
I have a procedural question that please let me know if this is more appropriate for closed session. I kind of can't tell. If I think two things. If something is deemed as not the city didn't find an adverse risk of something that caused undue finances to private residences, but another business caused that. Is there ever a situation where the city is both able to pay out resident cost and go after the causing factor for repayment of said cost? AKA, could we make the memory care physician who's flushing rubber gloves down the toilet and who should know better pay for the money that we pay these people for backing up the sewer in their basement?
I don't know. That one is a Valerie question.
I don't believe there's a mechanism in place for us to do that. Certainly, the private parties involved could make a claim against the facility or their insurer, but the city cannot make a claim on their behalf. That's not really something we can do.
Okay,
But their insurer potentially certainly covered.
Yeah, the insurance company can go after them. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go to a closed session.
I move to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985 1G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Claims for Yoder, 11 Rembrandt Way, Benjamin, 5684 Wilshire Drive, National Subrogation Services, and Fries, 5682 Wilshire Drive.
Second.
All those in favor of moving to a closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are moving to closed session. So,
I move to go into open session.
Second.
all those in favor of reconvening to open session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
We Thank you. We are in open session. Okay.
I move to deny all 4 claims.
Second.
All those in favor of denying the 4 claims, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay. Thank you. We deny the claims.
We were discussing something out there, and if I can just make a comment. The city.
Can you come to the microphone so we can say?
The gentleman from the city, I'm not sure what his name is,
Tim.
made the comment that when they looked at the sewer system, they found that there was construction material in there. That facility has been open for how many years? And how frequently do you check that sewer system to see that that construction material that was in there was blocking? And that wasn't something that just happened recently. That's been there for years. So I'm just putting that out there, folks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So then we move to item, what is 11B E. Discussion and possible action on claim. Oh no, that we're done. F. Action on claim. What?
Oh, the action. Okay, sorry, I'm confused. Yes.
Is we are on F, is another claim, is a claim from David Haight for 5855 Wood Edge Road. Can you explain, Valerie, what is this? Before we go to closed session, Annie, we have to go to closed session. This is for you.
Yeah, so we received a claim from Mr. Haight, and I think if I understand the claim correctly, the crux of it is that his position is that there is a problem with the Fitchburg's agenda setting process as it's outlined in our ordinance, because in ordinance 4-67, because he believes that it impermissibly delegates the legislative authority from the council to the mayor. And so to make you aware of what our ordinance says, it says 4-67, review of agendas, common council meeting. The common council meeting agenda shall be developed and reviewed by the mayor and the city administrator before the agendas are distributed. And so Mr. Haight, as I understand it, has read that and believes that to be an impermissible delegation of legislative authority to the executive portion of city government, which is the mayor and the administrator. Because he believes that agenda ordinance is in error or it conflicts with, he believes, Wisconsin law. Therefore, he has challenged the recent adoption of the Wisconsin of the vehicle registration fee as improperly adopted, and he wants in effect a declaratory an injunctive relief preventing that ordinance from being enforced. So that's my understanding of the claim as I have read it. I'm happy to kind of give you some insight into what my thoughts on that claim are, as well as share with you the information that our insurer has shared. The short of it is that
I'll move to extend the meeting by 30 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor of extending the meeting 30 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Could I also
We are extending.
make a motion to go to closed session?
Valerie, do you want this in open session or should we go into closed session?
Yeah, well, if I just may finish, I'd be happy to finish summarizing this in open session. I think it'd be helpful for the public as well as Mr. Haight if he wants to watch this, and certainly we can then discuss kind of legal strategy in a closed session. So the short of it is that in his claim, Mr. Haight has overlooked subsection B,
as well as other subsections of that ordinance, which address how the Common Council is involved in the agenda, specifically that any two alders can add items to the agenda, as well as the actual process of our kind of the way we run meetings is that the council can at any time remove things from the consent agenda where they're placed by the mayor, or even postpone indefinitely any item that's on the agenda just upon a vote without anything further. And so, in short, I don't believe there's a legal problem with our ordinance. In addition, I don't believe that there's an issue with the validity of the vehicle registration fee. I think it's been found enforceable, and many municipalities have implemented such fees. And so even if the agenda setting process was unlawful, which I don't believe it is, I don't know that it would call into question the vehicle registration fee ordinance. And so lastly to that end, I would recommend denying Mr. Haight's claim for all of those reasons, as well as the fact that I'm not sure that this body, the Common Council, can really grant the relief that he's asking, which is to declare the ordinance as void or unenforceable. That's really something courts do, not councils. So I'm happy to discuss kind of strategy more in depth with you in a closed session, but I did want to give you this overview generally, and then like I said, we can kind of talk shop and strategy a little bit more when we get into a closed session.
Okay, Dave has a question.
Just a question. Isn't his assertion that there was a lack of notice for this agenda item somehow? It seems like he made that case the other day, that it was on the agenda and there wasn't adequate notice. I think our agendas are printed ahead of time to provide adequate notice, but that was one of the issues he was making, and I don't think that's valid either.
This agenda item was open for a month.
Oh.
Because we presented to the consent agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the date, but it was...
It was a month, and then also there was a public hearing, official public hearing.
And then the city did a lot of communication through website, Facebook, we send the... So, but it was open for a month. This
Good enough. Good. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to a closed session?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'll move that we go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985 1G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Claim David Haight, 5855 Woods Edge Road. Woods Edge Road.
Okay, all those in favor of...
Second.
Bill.
All those in favor of going to a closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Thank you.
Second.
So we have a second. By Nicole. All those in favor of reconvening to open session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay.
I move to deny the claim by David Haight, 5855 Woods Edge Road.
Second.
And I would like to make a statement before we vote.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that if you reference the entirety of Chapter 4, Section 67 of our ordinances, you will see clearly what power the council has to control the agenda. I've been on this council for about 5.5 years now, and I do, as a council member, have control over the agenda. That control comes in multiple forms. One is the consent agenda. We almost always put every item on a consent agenda in the previous meeting, or sometimes even further back, that says it has the exact content that goes on the next agenda at least 2 weeks prior. And we, as a council, vote to move those things forwards to commission and to council. So I'm able to see almost every single resolution before it comes and approve it via the consent agenda. I can refer it to a different committee. I can remove it from the consent agenda so it's not referred out. So the consent agenda confers some power. There are direct referrals from time to time, but in a meeting with an agenda, I can move to remove something from the agenda entirely by postponing it indefinitely, which would mean it would never come back. So I have the power to remove something from the agenda or change it by pushing it to a different meeting. I have done both of those things in my time on council. Also, I, as a council member, if I get a co-sponsor of another alder on the council, can put anything on the agenda that I want, absolutely anything. I have done this in my first year at council to the disdain of the current mayor and some of the city staff. So I can promise you that I have that power, and any of us on the council has that power. The one stipulation is getting a co-sponsor, and with 7 others on the council, it was never difficult to do that. So I do have power over the agenda as a council member, and just wanted to make that clear, and would encourage anybody that has curious about that to read Chapter 4, Section 67, review of the agenda in its entirety, to learn more about that power. And I'm ready to vote.
Okay, all those in favor of rejecting? Deny the action on the claim by David Haight, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, so then we move to all the district report, and you have 1 minute each. Okay, we start with 4.
The only report that District 4 has to give, other than thank you to the or my area, for firefighters coming out for the parades on the 4th of July. That was super awesome. Just want to give a big shout out to everyone in the Summer Parks and Recs department for tolerating crazy 4-year-olds playing soccer and all the other fantastic programs that are run. Parents love your stuff. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mike.
On June 26th, I attended with Alder Maldonado the Governor's Outdoor Industry Awards. We were nominated for the Tandem Award for Collaboration. That was for the city and Bike Fitchburg and the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce. We did not win, but it is an honor to be nominated. It was a lovely event, and it was a beautiful day until it started storming at the end. July 15th, I attended the car seat clinic at the Lacey Fire Station. It was incredibly well attended. Yeah. I was there for probably an hour, and there were cars flowing through the entire time. It was a really great event. The police were there. There were stands for people to get resources. There was food available. It was great. I am going to have a meet and greet in Greenfield Park on August 2nd at 11 a.m. That is Saturday, so if anyone wants to come out and meet me, they are free to do so. And I attended the pickleball event on Friday night last week in McGaw Park. There was probably 60, 70 people there. They said they usually have over 100, and they're going to have events with a food cart in August, September, and October. So those should be great events as well. The one thing I just wanted to mention is they talked to me about needing or desiring to have an AED machine put in there. They said they've had cardiac events during pickleball events. If we are looking to have this place be a place where we're going to have tournaments or things come in, I think that's a public safety need that we should look to explore. So I will be looking to explore getting that in there somehow. It's not a huge budget expense, but maybe I can find an alder and put it on the agenda and make someone. So that is all.
Thank you. Logan.
I will also be quick. I was able to attend the Highfield Reserve neighborhood picnic organized by neighbors that Mayor Arata mentioned earlier. Also was able to meet several folks at the Terra Vesa neighborhood ice cream social at Tati. Wanted to also raise attention to an item from a resident about several opportunities for folks in District 3 to come together for the Run, Walk, Bike to McGaw Park. Residents of Greenfield, Swan Creek, and Fahey Fields, if you border McGaw Park. There will be food trucks from 5 to 8 p.m. on Friday, August 22nd, Friday, September 12th, and Friday, October 3rd. Again, all 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Great neighborhood organized event. And then taking a hard pivot to an unfortunate situation, I do want to just acknowledge that tragically we had a fatal apartment fire in District 3 yesterday around 6 o'clock. It was in the 2600 block of Pheasant Ridge Trail. An adult was found in the affected apartment and unfortunately passed away. Still obviously investigation underway, but just I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that and express my condolences and offer my support however it may be needed and beneficial.
Thank you. Donald?
Nothing significant to add. I just will echo Logan's sentiments around individuals the family that lost a person in that fire. My condolences go out to them and their family. And just been having some conversations with folks from COPA around like incorporating more of the arts and dance into Fitchburg and like getting more individuals out to those events. So just more updates from that as they develop. And then the last thing, again, just echoing the blood drive that will take place at the Senior Center on July 29th. Definitely is a significant event and could donating blood that day could potentially save a life. So if we could, if you're able, definitely get out and support. Other than that, I conclude my remarks.
Thank you. District 2.
As the mayor mentioned, we had the District 2 listening session a couple weeks back. It was amazing, and I want to thank the mayor, the city staff that both attended and that helped plan it, and also the other partners like the City on Hill Church that hosted it. I think it's a great idea to have these. There were some challenging questions, but there was a lot of great discussion, and I appreciated it. So I think it's an outstanding idea and look forward to doing it again sometime in the future. I went to the opening of the official ribbon cutting for Zafferano restaurant that's in the Wyndham Garden Hotel right on Fish Hatchery and McKee. Highly recommend you go. It's an Indian-Italian restaurant. So they have both regular Italian food, regular Indian food, and fusion Italian-Indian food. And it is amazing. I've been multiple times, and it is amazing. So I highly, highly recommend you go. Definitely go support them. They think it's the only one in the Midwest like that. Maybe in the whole, like maybe even a broader region. So it's a very unique restaurant. Go check it out. I was able to play. I'd never been to Swan Creek Park to play Frisbee before, but I'm part of the Madison Area Ultimate Frisbee League, and I had a game at Swan Creek last night, and it was so great. So thanks to the city staff for making that possible and hosting people. A ton of my friends are from the east side of Madison, and they'd never been to Swan Creek, and they were like, "Oh, this is such a cute area of town. Look at that little community garden." I was like, "Oh, check out the Rusty Bee." So yeah, it was very nice. People were
Did you win?
Huh? We did win. We did win. Yes. I had the winning game point. Yeah, actually, yeah. And then last thing, I sent an email about this, but I'm a big fan of our AMC. I love movies. We go a couple times a month. And the AMC parking lot is out of control.
Oh, you really?
Okay, I think there's a pothole there that could kill somebody.
Yeah,
it is crazy. Yeah.
It's got a reputation. Everybody that I know says something about it.
It is crazy.
It's in discussion. Mike Z is trying to have conversations with that owner. Joe and I brought that up in our CETA meeting when we were getting updates on the Hy-Vee parking lot. So
I forwarded it to building inspection, but I'll forward it to Mike Z too because it is insane.
Agreed entirely.
And I love going to that movie theater, and I am always terrified to drive in that parking lot.
But everyone just parks wherever they want too, and it's just
it's absolute chaos. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's all. Thanks.
Bill?
Yeah, so I guess one other thing I'd like to add on to your Zafferano report. I spoke with Caliana, one of the owners, and I said, I didn't see any vegan options on your menu. And she said, hey, you know what? Our wait staff goes up to every table and says, what can I do for you? And they will accommodate any dietary preference or need that you have. So there you go. Okay. There are 4 new B-cycle stations throughout town. One of them is conveniently located 2-minute walk from my house. And, I shouldn't feel so happy and giddy, but I do, that I can walk 2 minutes and get on public transportation. It's incredible. I've just been riding the heck out of those bikes lately. Last night, we had our concert at McKee. That was well attended. Bunch of food trucks, a lot of people, and of course, the band. And one thing I've noticed recently, it seems that when I want to cross McKee Road at Chapel Valley Road, we now have a leading pedestrian interval. Does anybody on TTC know anything about that? Or maybe ask Ross.
Okay. Thank you. Dave.
Joe go first. I'll go last.
Joe.
So there's a couple events right across the border in Madison and Allied Park. There's going to be a basketball tournament from noon to 3 this Saturday, the 26th. And then there will be a Parks Alive event at 5 p.m., 5 to 8 p.m.
Thank you. Dave.
I want to thank Bike Committee. We, as Alder Jetser mentioned, we have a new e-bike station in the Jamestown Heagle Park. I've been seeing people use that. I got the privilege, I got invited to a graduation party for some of the Hmong residents and got to try some unique food. I even got to help them cut up the pig a little bit in the garage before the party, so back to my farm days. We have a new landlord down in Lower King James Way. He's bought a couple of duplexes, a local owner, and he's fixing them up himself. Was encouraged to have local ownership. And I would just add, that quite often there's jokes about the age of the Dark Lord that sits down here at the end of the table. And I would tell you, yesterday was my 65th birthday, so I have to admit that I am now a senior citizen, although I'm still working.
Happy birthday, man!
Thank you.
Hey, that's Senior Dark Lord.
Senior Dark Lord. There we go.
Do we get discounts if you approve all the purchases for the city now?
Okay, so thank you, Dave. Felicidades. I also want to say thank you, Dave, for helping the neighbor the other day with the tree. Okay, we saw the pictures. You were very proactive, so thank you. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, because we closed, there is the Fitchburg Beast After Hour is this Thursday, July 24, from 4:30 to 6:30 in Rusty Bee. So this is organized by the Fitchburg Chamber. So you have time, you can go there for a couple of hours. I will try to go, okay? So any other announcement? We are moving to the Committee of the Whole.
Committee of the Whole is tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. We are talking about doing a 2025 housing plan overview about the process for that update. And then we're doing our municipal budgeting, budget priorities discussion that Ms. D does annually. And it is always compelling. Don't miss it. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. And then our next Common Council meeting will be August 12th. That meeting is we're going to have a lot of things to discuss. So I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, buenas noches. Gracias.